So being Maori is like we're the native people of New Zealand.
Yeah.
However, there's like so many stereotypes around being Maori that, they say that Maori people aren't smart, they're quite poor, they're uneducated, they don't get good jobs.
Okay.
So when I was going to school, I was surrounded by Polynesian kids, Tongan, Samoan, Niuean, all the different islands. And so they always mocked the Maori kids. And so that made me not want to be Maori. So that's where a lot of it started.
So the other Polynesian cultures, they don't get that same stereotype? Like Tongans and Samoans, they don't have the same stereotype as Maoris?
Not as bad as it is for Maori. And yeah, it's a really weird thing. It's really, really weird because this is our country. But I feel like because there's so many disconnects in New Zealand with being Maori, that Maori people aren't proud of being Maori. So because we're not hyping it up, whereas you have like Tongans who are so patriotic and Samoans are so patriotic, they know where they're from. The Maori culture was really lost because of like colonization. Like, I don't know the dates, but there was a lot of, so basically if you went to school and you spoke Maori, you'd be beaten for it. So you were punished if you spoke any Maori words, if you not associated with being Maori, but basically if you went to school and you spoke Maori, you were beaten for that. And the white man told the Maori people, my people, my ancestors, that if you're Maori and if you acknowledge being Maori, that you'll never get a job, that you won't be educated, that you're not smart, that you'll never be good enough to to have a good job or to be successful. And so because these those beliefs were instilled in that whole generation, that's what my Nana taught my mum. She was like, no, like don't worry about learning Maori. You don't need to learn Maori, because if you speak Maori, no one's going to talk to you, no one's going to want to hire you, no one's going to want you to be a part of the thing that they're doing. Like, it was just basically shoved down, like it was just pushed right down. And it wasn't until I think it's 1985 that Maori was acknowledged as a official language of New Zealand, even though the Maori people are we're from here, this Aotearoa land of the Maori. So there's so much history, which also another thing, we don't get taught Maori history in New Zealand. They don't.
No, that's not in the school curriculum.
No, we learn about World War II. We learn about the Jews and the Nazis and Germany and all of these other things, but there's nothing in the New Zealand curriculum that encourages or promotes learning about Maori history.
What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kava Club Podcast, where we share healthy conversations, experiences, apply knowledge and stories to promote happiness, love, success, to improve everybody's quality of life. You guys already know my name. I am Will. I'm the host of this show. I'm excited today, y'all. I am super excited today. We have a very special guest. It's one of our Polynesian sisters from all the way from New Zealand. She's a big advocate for women empowerment, self-love, and she got the vibes, y'all. She got the vibes. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very excited to her. I just want to say directly to her, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm very grateful for her to join me on my show and have her share a story for all you guys today. If you guys are watching this for the very first time, tuning in for the very first time, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Please show us some love and support. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And everybody out there that been showing me so much love, have been subscribed to my channel and sending me so much positive feedback. Thank you so much for all you guys. You guys keep me going, keeps the inspiration, keeps the, Tongan, keeps that vela, keeps that fire going, for me. So, but yeah, I'm excited to have my special guest. I'll allow her, give her the opportunity to introduce herself to you guys. So it is all you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Will. I'm so grateful to be here. So yes, my name is Jani. I am from Auckland, New Zealand. I'm 32 years young, and I am Tongan Maori.
All right, nice. Nice. That's a good mix. That's a good mix. You know, the Kava Club, you know, the good Kava mix. That's a good mix. All right. Thank you so much for joining me on this show. And thank you very excited for you to be here. But I guess we'll get it started. You know, I know a lot of my audience, a lot of people don't know who you are. Can you give a quick synopsis of your life story, your background, and how did you grow up?
Awesome. Here we go. So my dad, actually, he was born in Tonga. He came over to New Zealand when he was 7 with his family, obviously, to start a better life. My mum is Maori. However, she didn't really grow up connected to her Maori side. And then for me growing up, especially as a young child, I had my mum who wasn't connected to her Maori side. And then my dad who had been raised in a Tongan household, but he had moved away from his Tongan family. So as a child, I felt quite disconnected with who I was and like what my culture was, what my ethnicity was. Yeah, and so a lot of my story comes from that, and that's right at the beginning, just not knowing who I was, not knowing which culture to connect with and which one to be more of. And I guess when you're a kid, you know, everyone always asks you, what are you and which side do you take more of? And so I always felt like this pull, like, was I Tongan or was I Maori? So growing up and going to school, I just felt like I still didn't know who I was. I wanted to fit in, but I couldn't speak Tongan. I couldn't speak Maori. So I was just this random kid that was apparently Tongan and Maori, but I didn't really know anything about it. And that happened right through my childhood, right into going into intermediate. And because of that, I went and joined like the Indian group, the Cook Island groups, like all these other groups that weren't Tongan or Maori, because I didn't know who I was and I felt that disconnect. So from there, moving into college, that was where it got a lot harder, because once again, I was just this random girl that was Tongan and Maori that didn't know about any of those sides. And so when I was in my teens, this is where I tried to find, you know, a little bit more connection. So I had a few friends that were Tongan, so I went and joined the Tongan group. And slowly, bit by bit, I started growing these little connections back to who I was by learning some of the dances, you know, learning about the Daolonga and doing the soke, all of these kinds of dances. This is what we were doing at college. And then also trying to connect back to my Maori side. And then moving on from that, I guess when I got into my adult years, that's when I kind of realized I still don't know who I am and I still don't know where I'm from. And it was really hard, because having that disconnect for so long is hard, because you're trying to be yourself, but you don't know who you are. And it's kind of weird, because it's taken probably the last 10 years for me to get to where I am now, which this year I'm like finally learning Maori, which is my mum's native tongue. I have a beautiful, the weird thing is that I'm tight with all my family. Like, I'm tight with my Tongan side, I'm tight with my Maori side, but I just felt like that cultural connection and the language wasn't there, if that makes sense. And so now coming full circle and going back and learning about my Maori side and where I'm from, and then also my Tongan side, has been like such a beautiful journey. So that's kind of where I am now. Did you want me to go into like my careers and all of that as well?
No. So I am interested in one thing you said. So I know you said that it took you 10 years, right, to overcome all these things. That's a long time. Right? That's a long time. So I'm very interested. So why was it, I want to ask you, why was it so hard for you to figure out your identity, and why was it so important for you? Because I'm in America, so but I don't know how it is in New Zealand. Is it really, really important growing up in New Zealand as a child to make sure that you know which part of group you are? Like, I don't know how to, like, was there did you feel pressure? Like, what, like, wow, like, where did it come from? Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, being Maori in New Zealand. So being Maori is like we're the native people of New Zealand.
Yeah.
However, there's like so many stereotypes around being Maori that, they say that Maori people aren't smart, they're quite poor, they're uneducated, they don't get good jobs.
Okay.
So when I was going to school, I was surrounded by Polynesian kids, Tongan, Samoan, Niuean, all the different islands. And so they always mocked the Maori kids. And so that made me not want to be Maori. So that's where a lot of it started.
So the other Polynesian cultures, they don't get that same stereotype? Like Tongans and Samoans, they don't have the same stereotype as Maoris?
Not as bad as it is for Maori. And yeah, it's a really weird thing. It's really, really weird because this is our country. But I feel like because there's so many disconnects in New Zealand with being Maori, that Maori people aren't proud of being Maori. So because we're not hyping it up, whereas you have like Tongans who are so patriotic and Samoans are so patriotic, they know where they're from. The Maori culture was really lost because of like colonization. Like it's huge.
Got you.
I was always mocked at school for being Maori, so I didn't want to be Maori. So I said, no, I'm not Maori, I'm Tongan.
Yeah.
So from a young age, that was like 6, 7.
Yeah.
I'd already decided in my head that I'm not Maori. And so I was just Tongan, even though I couldn't speak it. And so then again, from that, there was a lot of mocking around, oh, you're not Tongan because you can't speak Tongan. You're not Tongan because you haven't been to Tonga. And so, all of those things came up and it was like, huge pressure as a kid.
Did you communicate that with your parents of what you went through in your at school? Like no?
No, not at all. Yeah. I think
you ever ask yourself why?
Yeah, like I guess when you're a kid, you kind of just feel that you just have to take things on and like everything's just normal as it is. You don't talk to your parents about those things because they don't really understand or see your perspective from your perspective. So it's kind of hard to have those conversations. At the same time, I know that my mom was disconnected from her Maori side because for her growing up, like her mum would have been beaten if she spoke Maori. So this is the history of New Zealand.
Okay.
So the language was lost because it was kind of like illegal to speak Maori. So my mum was disconnected on that side.
Okay.
And then my dad, my dad's Tongan like through and through. He's so shy. He's not going to start conversations up. Yeah. And then, being a girl having those deep conversations is not really something that you do. So, just being the oldest, I kind of just went with it.
So what were what were the things that you experienced from, you had some identity issues. So what were how did that impact you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, as a woman?
Yeah, like literally my whole life. It's probably up until the last 2 years that I wasn't proud of my culture. Like I wasn't proud to be Maori. I was more proud to be Tongan because being Tongan was like cool.
Yeah.
Whereas being Maori, I still didn't feel comfortable with that. So it affected like my whole life. Going to university, like I would get called out to do like the pōwhiri and do like waiata, which are all Maori customs. But I hated being stereotyped for that. Like, oh, you're like the token Maori girl, you go and do the pōwhiri, you're the, and this is what was happening like my whole life. I was just always, being expected to know all of the Maori things because I'm Maori. And this is a huge thing that happens in New Zealand.
So I want to ask you, are you receiving that treatment because you're half Maori? Do the full Maoris, the full-blooded Maoris, do they get a different treatment or is it all the same? Because in America, what I see on the internet and social media, TV, that you guys are like the Maoris are very prideful. Like I didn't even know it was that worse over there in New Zealand. But when you see on the media, like you see everybody dressed up in the Maori traditional clothes, everybody's doing the haka. So I'm like, okay, I guess the Maori people over there, I was like, I guess they're dominating over there. But it's funny when I'm listening to you, that it's a total different perspective reality. But on the media, you feel like the Maori people are doing really well. Everybody's thriving. Everybody's happy. Everybody's prideful of their culture. But it's crazy how you're telling me a side that I didn't even know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like the whole world sees like the All Blacks doing the haka and like, oh my gosh, like being Maori is so cool. New Zealand is so cool. We've got like these amazing men who are doing this thing, and like we've got our warrior dance, our war dances, and all these beautiful customs. Yeah, it's just hyped up for the sake of, cool, like New Zealand.
For tourism.
For tourism. But the truth is, if you ask most Maori people, there's such a huge disconnect between being Maori and then being acknowledged as a Maori in New Zealand. So yeah, it's massive. So I know that my story isn't just my own. Like there's so many people that feel the same. So yeah.
So people were purposely treating you like you're like a commoner because of your because you're half Maori. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
So do you mean commoner like
they see you, they don't see you in the same level. Like, Tongans, they don't see you in the same level. Samoan, they don't see they don't see you in the same level because you're Maori. And that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's crazy.
As well. Yeah, it's important as well for them, to acknowledge that obviously something that happened in their life that they've been raised to believe the same thing as well. That's the only reason why they treated me that way, which, I don't have anything against them. But obviously they've been told something as well, that Māoris are dirty and Māoris are poor and all of these things.
That's crazy. Because Maori what? No, because dirty. I'm like, man, Maoris are like the most beautiful people I ever see, I see all the time. So I do want to ask you, what was like the worst treatment that you ever gone through, experience you went through because of that?
The worst, I think the hardest thing for me is just always being expected. I think, it's hard when people expect you to know. It's weird. It's like, just because you're Tongan, it doesn't mean that you know every single Tongan word in the dictionary and you know every single Tongan dance.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as in New Zealand. Like you'll meet people and you'll say that you're Maori and then they'll be like, oh yeah, do a haka for me. Like it's really rude. And people don't understand that. And I'm just like, why do people think that's okay? So there's like so many huge expectations to being Maori, and like what you just shared, the understanding of what people think Maori is and what being Maori is so different. So I think the worst thing for me is probably just growing up knowing that I couldn't learn te reo because my mum couldn't learn te reo because her mum wasn't allowed to speak te reo, which is the Maori language. So that's probably the hardest thing for me, and that's where all of this disconnect started.
Do many people, do a lot of kids know how to speak Maori, or only a very small percentage?
It's so small. So they say it takes 3 generations to build the language, and 1 generation to lose it. And so that 1 generation was my grandma's generation, where it was illegal to speak Maori, and basically there's the number is so tiny. It's really, really sad, but that's why I'm studying this year and trying to learn and to help bring it back.
Yeah, I'm just interested. You said it was illegal. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit? Because I don't know that history. So for anybody that's listening, we just want to know.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't know the dates, but there was a lot of so basically if you went to school and you spoke Maori, you'd be beaten for it. So you were punished if you spoke any Maori words, if you not associated with being Maori, but basically if you went to school and you spoke Maori, you were beaten for that. And the white man told the Maori people, my people, my ancestors, that if you're Maori and if you acknowledge being Maori, that you'll never get a job, that you won't be educated, that you're not smart, that you'll never be good enough to to have a have a good job or to be successful. And so because these, those beliefs were instilled in that whole generation, that's what my Nana taught my mum. She was like, no, like, don't worry about learning Maori. You don't need to learn Maori, because if you speak Maori, no one's going to talk to you. No one's going to want to hire you. No one's going to want you to be a part of, the thing that they're doing. Like, it was just basically shoved down. Like, it was just pushed right down. And it wasn't until I think it's 1985 that Maori was acknowledged as a official language of New Zealand, even though the Maori people are we're from here, this Aotearoa land of the Maori. So there's so much history, which also another thing, we don't get taught Maori history in New Zealand. They don't.
No, that's not in the school curriculum.
No, we learn about World War II. We learn about the Jews and the Nazis and Germany and all of these other things, but there's nothing in the New Zealand curriculum that encourages or promotes learning about Maori history.
Wow.
Which is obviously not. It's just shit. Yeah.
And I guess the only thing you do, because I do know that you guys have that the schools, they have those the Poly Week or Polyfest. Polyfest, where the schools perform.
Yeah, that's next weekend, I think, or maybe even this week.
So I guess that's the only time when in the schools people are allowed to, I guess, talk about the history or do Polynesian cultural things, right? That's the only time.
Yeah, pretty much. So there's Polyfest, and then there's a few bigger Maori festivals like kapahaka festivals, like Matatini, where they have, performances and singing. And we also have Maori Language Week, which is another, it's one of those tourist New Zealand things where they speak Maori on TV, on the news, and they try and promote all of these words, these kupu, which is words in Maori. They promote it around New Zealand for that 1 week, and then literally the week after, that's it. Like, you don't hear it. So the acknowledgement of being Maori and having the Maori language as a part of normal, mainstream TV in New Zealand, it's still growing. Like, at least we have a Maori TV channel now. And we have some beautiful presenters on the mainstream news who do speak te reo, which is beautiful. So it's growing slowly, but there's a huge community of people in New Zealand who are just not interested, and so it makes it really, really difficult for us to promote being Maori and to be proud of being Maori. When there's this huge group that are racist and very upfront about it. So,
I want to ask you, because I know you went through a lot. Is it the same for, as far as like the racism that you went through, and of course people not treating you fairly based on based on your self-identity, but is it the same for both men and women? Can you talk about that? Or do women go through different things, or is it worse for women? I'm just interested if it's the same, or do both Maori men and women go through different things on their own?
I can't really speak for Maori men. I haven't really spoken to many men about that, but that's something that I want to do soon. But definitely, as a general community, being Maori, whether you're male or female, you get the same treatment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, so you went through that in high school. You went through the school. So what happened next after that? Because you went through that for the majority of your life. Teenager, you became an adult. When did you just get to a point when you realized, okay, I need to do something. I need to make a change. I need to work on myself. Clearly, you identified as you have some self-identity issues, and and it's causing you. Can you talk about the things that you went, the type of pain that you went through? Because I feel like there's a lot of people that go through these things. I've seen it myself here in America, where usually it's always the Hafakasi kids, the mixed kids that go through this, and a lot of them go through mental health issues. Sometimes it goes into their relationships. Sometimes it goes into their health, their job. So a lot of people don't realize that, like, when somebody's confused about their identity, it gives them a lot of insecurity for themselves. They're not confident, and sometimes when you're insecure, and people know this, when you're insecure and you're not happy with yourself, it also affects all aspects of your life. In your relationships, your careers, your things that you want to do. So can you talk about that when you realized, like, how was your issue with your self-identity? Like, what parts of your life was it causing it? And can you talk about those different things?
Yeah. Wow, that's huge. So I remember when I started teaching. So I was 21 when I started teaching, and I was teaching over in Mangere. And so it's majority Polynesian kids, which was cool for me. I love that. I love being around poly kids because they're just so, like, fun and excited all the time. And there was probably about 10 Maori kids in the whole school of about 700. And then we also had another kura, which is a kura kaupapa Maori. It's a Maori school, which was just across from us. And I was teaching. So when I was teaching, I would always get the question, like, what are you?
Yeah.
They probably asked that over there, like, what are you? And then they were trying to guess my culture. Yeah. And they would say things like, oh, you must be Samoan because you're this and that, you're a really cool teacher. Or, oh, you must be Tongan because of this. And when I would tell them that I'm Maori, they'll be like, are you sure you're Maori? Because, and so they've already got these beliefs in. Yeah. So for me, as a 20-year-old, still getting triggered by kids telling me that I'm not the culture that they say I am, that's when I was like, man, I still don't even know who I am, and I still don't even identify with my culture, and I'm still not proud of who I am. And so when I would go to the marae, which is it's like a fale, how you have your fale, like Tongan Samoan. It's like the marae, that's like our home, our little village. When I would go back to the marae, I noticed that there was so much disconnect. There was this huge gap between our kaumatua, like the elders of the marae, and my generation. Like, no one could speak Maori, no one knew the songs, no one knew the kaupapa, no one knew the traditions and the tikanga around being Maori and being a part of our culture. And that's when I started feeling like, damn, like, I need to be a part of this, because I could just see everything, like, dissipating slowly and us just losing our culture altogether. So fast forward, sorry. It's really weird because I went through years and years of just going up and down, like learning Maori and doing kapahaka and doing, like, all these little things, but I still didn't quite feel that connection. And it's really weird. It wasn't until I went to London in 2019 with some of my cousins that were over there, and I joined the kapahaka group in London, so it's not even in New Zealand. That was the first time that I felt proud to be Maori. And it's really sad because I wasn't even in my home country.
Yeah.
But it was because I felt safe, because I didn't feel judged. I didn't feel like I had to be a certain
way.
I didn't have to be a certain way. I didn't need to be able to speak fluent Maori. I didn't need to know all of these things, because everyone in that group were from all over the world, but we were here because being the Maori culture brought us together. And so that was the first time that I actually felt being proud to be Maori. Yeah, so that huge journey going up and down and just really not knowing. It took me to be a part of a kapahaka group on the other side of the world until I felt proud to be me.
Okay, so walk me through, like, so you finally felt for the first time what it feels like to not be afraid, to be open and be proud of who you are, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that feeling didn't last long. Can you talk about when you came back to New Zealand, and then now you have to face like, okay, back to the reality. You had an experience where, okay, I finally felt good being Maori, but then you had to go back to the to the reality of where you live.
Yeah.
So how did you still maintain that feeling from the London, or did that just dissipate again and you have to start working from scratch?
It was really hard because I was so connected to being Maori in London. I definitely felt like I lost a bit of that when I came home.
Yeah.
But that's when I started doing a lot of inner work, because that's obviously like when lockdown started happening. So this was last year when lockdown started happening, when I was like, actually, I really enjoyed doing kapa haka last year. And I think I have a lot to learn about myself. I have so much to be proud of. And once I started just acknowledging first that I am Maori and identifying as Maori, then I started to grow that belief and that pride around being Maori. And so it just started growing in really, really little bits. And I had some beautiful conversations with my flatmate who, she's Maori as well, but she grew up in a Maori household, like she's fluent, and just sharing my own story with her and just hearing her speak on her experiences growing up just made me realize that actually, being Maori is so cool. We're so blessed. We have so many beautiful things to be proud of. And we are so powerful. And, just like all Polynesian cultures, we're so connected to the land. We're very spiritual people. We do a lot of like talanoa. Like all of these came back together. And I was like, damn, like this is it. Like this is where I'm supposed to be. And that's where, this next journey has started now. Like where this year I'm going back and I'm learning te reo.
Yeah, thank you. That's so beautiful. I'm so good. You have a flatmate that you connect with, right?
Yeah, that was a blessing for sure.
So I want to ask you, why do you feel like it was? What was the I guess one? Why were you so connected back in London? Like, what was it? The people? Was it the environment? Was it? I'm just interested to hear that, because what was the one thing that made you feel so connected in London when you were there?
I know, it's so weird, because you would think that when you come back to New Zealand, you would feel more connected.
Yeah.
But it was definitely just that feeling of being safe and held by people that I didn't know.
Got you.
Like, because no one has expectations of you. They don't actually know.
There's no stigmas out there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a fresh start. So you just start where you start.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Okay. Yeah. So people, like, they don't have any preconceived stigmas. They just judge you as you are. There's no stigmas. The people just treat you the way they see you. So that's and that's how it should be, by the way. We shouldn't we shouldn't worry about what race somebody is, or what family they come from. With the family, we should appreciate it, because that is part of who they are. But we shouldn't judge people based on that. And it's something that happens within our community, which is I feel like that's an old colonial way of thinking that's been taught, because of I think you mentioned before, colonism, colonization, right? So I feel like that because of that's how, if you don't learn it, you mentioned it first, if you don't learn about your history at school, I feel like a big part of your identity as a person, that you have to know who you are. That's how, if you don't know who you are, it's going to be really, really hard for you to have confidence. And I feel like, because of you guys don't know about your history. I remember I had a great conversation about this, with a good friend of mine a long time ago on a podcast. We talked about how Tongans, hating each other and criticizing each other. This group of Polynesians is better than the other group of Polynesians. And then we had a conversation, and we asked ourselves, where did this come from? Where did this? Because it's so hard for me, because when I see another Polynesian brother or sister, I just see them as another Polynesian brother or sister.
Exactly.
Like whatever it's Fijian, Samoan, Hawaiian, Maori, I just see them as my family. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
You know, so me and him were on the same page. We're in the same vibes, right? So we asked ourselves, like, where did this come from? Like, how did people get to a point where we develop these feelings of hate and resentment towards not only a person but a human being, even though we see that we are related somehow? We're all Polynesians, like, you know,
exactly.
like how, and for me, because it's hard for me to understand it, because like I just, you know, I know my heart and I just love all people, especially my Polynesian people, but it's like, I never understood how another Polynesian could hate another Polynesian or be racist towards other Polynesians.
It's like a learned behavior, eh?
Oh yeah,
exactly. I mean, we're born racist.
Exactly. I mean, I understand white people, but right, they have that history, but we don't. We didn't have that history, you know.
No.
We may have fought each other in battles, you know, based on what I know back in, you know, the Polynesian history, but then I realized to myself, it's like the school systems of how we're teaching kids. We're not learning about our history, you know. You know, if you come from a very traditional household, that helps out, because your parents can give you that history lesson, you know, that confidence, to build that confidence within you. But kids out there that are living in Western society countries, their parents are not teaching them the language. That can make a child very confused, especially in a Western society where there's certain cultures that dominates other cultures. So,
if
anybody,
Can I speak into that a little bit?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Especially about the whole identity thing. So, like when I was teaching 2 years ago, I was teaching a group of Rumaki students. So it was full immersion Maori, and these kids were only like 5, 6, 7 years old. And something that I noticed within them, the children who grew up in homes where, you know, the parents knew where they were from, the parents were really proud of being Maori. Those were the children who thrived in the classroom, because they, you know, they knew exactly where they were from. They were like, this is me, this is who I am, this is my family, this is my whānau. Whereas the children who, their parents didn't have that connection, they didn't really know where they were from. They were kind of, they were me when I was little. They were so lost on who they were and who they whakapapaed back to, so who their connection was with in their family. They just had no idea. And that's exactly, like you touched on that perfectly. If you don't know who you are, and if you don't know what your identity is, you just feel so lost, and it's so hard to find your feet when you can't even say where your feet are grounded.
Yeah. We all need a foundation. You know, everybody, just like a house, like if there's no foundation in the house, it's gonna no matter how much you try to build on it, it's gonna fall apart, right?
Yeah.
And I use this example, you know, for everybody out there. Animals, right? Animals, because you have to understand, like, human beings, we're social creatures.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to be part of a group. It's our normal human instinct and nature to be part of something, right? So animals, like, you know, a lot of animals like wolves, elephants, lions, they travel in packs, and they always say, you know, if a lion gets lost from their pack, if a wolf gets lost in the pack, like their chance of death is higher than being with the group, right? So, you know, when you're part of a group, you're part of something. It makes you feel safe, makes you feel confident. But whenever an animal is lost from the group, like I think they have like a 60-80% chance of dying, something like that.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to survive on their own. So that same concept also applies to human beings. Like if we're not part of a group to feel that love, to feel that, to feel that appreciation, to be part of something. If we go into the world not knowing who we are, not knowing where we come from, then like the 80 or 60% of the animals dying, that's the same thing with us. Like we have a high chance of not living that life, and we're gonna fall into circumstances that we may not fall into if we knew who we are, right? Yeah. So because, you know, life, because everybody knows, it's like life is hard, it's painful, it's difficult. There's gonna be challenges and obstacles. So, but if you know who you are, you can fight those challenges because you're confident.
Yes.
But if you don't know who you are and you go out into the world with all the negativity and criticism and things that we go through in life, then and you don't have a leg, like you said, a leg to stand on or a foundation to stand on, then you feel helpless and powerless, and you just let the world overwhelm you. So push you around. So you got to know where you are. So I want to ask you, so how'd you get to that? What did you do to start, like what was the one thing that you did? I feel like, what was the one thing you did that changed, I guess, had a big impact for you to finally build that foundation within yourself? Like, what did you do specifically? I just want to add the information to anybody that's watching right now, probably in New Zealand, don't know what to do, don't know the answer. But because like I said, like when it comes to finding your identity, like
what do you do?
What do you do, right? There's not a book. It's not like you have a manual or a book you can go to, or this is something like there's not a lot of information on it. I don't know if there is information on the internet. I never searched it before, but I'm assuming like there's no manual out there for you to figure this out. So, but you've gone through your own experience. So, what did you do? Like, what was the first thing you did, or what were the biggest things that you did that you feel like that had the biggest change or impact for you to start building yourself up?
Yeah. I was at this little retreat like just a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about this. We spoke about being Maori and what it was to be Maori, and then how do you reconnect back to that? And something that one of the girls said was choose a waka. So whether that waka is doing carving or doing kapa haka, doing like singing, playing music, just choose one thing that you feel there's a connection between who you are and your culture. And just jump on that waka and just go and learn as much as you can in that space. And so I think for me, my one was definitely learning te reo, which is a massive journey to be on. But it's so healing. I feel like learning the language is so healing and so empowering. And that's why I'm so passionate about encouraging other people to speak te reo, or just learning about something to do with your culture. Just talk to people who have pride in themselves the way that you want to be. Get yourself around people who are where you want to be. Listen to podcasts, read books. Actually, that was probably where a lot of it started, was podcasts.
Okay.
When I started listening to podcasts, that's when a lot of my mindset shifted.
Okay.
So, finding myself.
Yeah, so I know you do post a lot of content on your social media, which is cool, by the way. So, what gave you the inspiration to start making content on social media?
Yeah. So I've always loved social media, because I think I'm just intrigued by, how we just watch and we follow along people's lives just by these little snippets. But then going deeper into it, it's a huge part of my online business, where we focus a lot on being the best version of ourselves and empowering other people to step into their highest version, to really unpack who we are at the core, and to shed all of those layers that we're constantly putting on, throughout our whole life and growing up. So having my online business is a huge part as to why I share so deeply and so vulnerably, because I know that somewhere, someone out there is going to read one of my posts and be like, oh, wow, that's me. And, it's okay. Everything's going to be all right. I can get through this. I might be having a breakdown right now, but it's not the end. Everything is temporary, and there's always so much to learn from everything that happens in our lives. So I share a lot out of, the hopes of inspiring and empowering other people to just continue on their journey and to continue finding themselves and living their best life.
Yeah, I love how you shared that you had to unpack a lot of things and change your mindset. That's something I'm always a big I'm a big advocate for that, to work on the power of the mind, because the mind controls everything.
Yeah.
Controls, the way you see, the way you think, your perspective, everything starts up here. So a lot of people, we Polynesians, we feed our bodies, but we don't. And you can see it, and it's obvious. But many, we don't feed our mind. So, I guess one of my favorite quotes is we are what we eat. So, same thing with our mindset. That's why it's so important for a lot of people to do that. I do want to ask you, whenever I talk to people and they talk about mindsets or unpacking the things within themselves, did you have any toxic beliefs about yourself that you had to unlearn. You know, a lot of people, there's that saying that you have to learn to unlearn things that you were taught growing up. So for you personally, as far as like your self-esteem, the way you saw yourself, sometimes I meet people and girls and like, and they work out and they look healthy on the outside, but they're not healthy on the inside. And I tell them, you know, you have to, like, the reason why you don't feel like you're not pretty, you know, obviously that's a belief that somebody has implanted into you, and you have to take time to unlearn that you are pretty, you are beautiful. It doesn't matter how much you work out on the outside at the gym, but you're always going to see yourself as not a pretty individual until you unlearn that. So I do want to ask you, what are things about yourself whether it was how you saw yourself, whether it was how your beauty, or whatever it's your intelligence, whatever, like what were beliefs within yourself that you felt like that you held on to, and you had to unlearn for you to kind of move on to the next part of your life?
There's so many like little random ones. Aside from the culture one, I had like a huge belief that being smart was really bad. Like I used to get mocked a lot by my cousins growing up. You know, that I was why was I so smart? Or I used to be told that I was really spoiled, that my parents would spoil us, and why did we have all of these things and blah blah blah. And so, you know, when people are constantly telling you that you can't have all of the things, that you shouldn't be smart, that, you know, being brainy is like stink and not cool, then I started taking on those beliefs. And it wasn't that I didn't believe that I was smart, but I didn't want to be seen as being smart, because I wanted to be cool, but I didn't want to be, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you
wanted to fit in.
Yeah, exactly. You just want to fit in. And so I'm sure most people have these feelings, you know, and then you have like that, just the lack of self-worth and lack of self-esteem, and, you know, and like you said, not feeling pretty enough, and worrying about the way that males see you, and they're worrying about the way that other girls see you, and then having all of those comparisons and not feeling good enough, and, you know, oh, why does she look like that? Why does she have that? And you know, am I not good enough because I don't have those things in my life? So for me, the biggest one would have been comparison. Like that would have been my biggest, the biggest thing that held me back was comparing myself to other people. And that contributed to the lack of self-worth and the lack of self-love and lack of just not acknowledging me for who I am and just being myself.
Yeah. So, okay. So, you know, for you, so you've gone through this whole journey, and at this point right now, are you still going through it? Are you still trying to figure things out, or have you reached the point where you're pretty confident now, on who you are as a person today?
That's so funny, because I just like wrote a post just before this actually about how, you know, how I feel like I've come full circle, that I have so much love for myself. I have so much love for who I am. I have so much love for my journey, and acknowledging that everything that's happened in my life has led me to where I am. So right now I feel like I'm at such a higher level than I was, and a much higher level than I expected to be at. I guess in this short amount of time, maybe only a year and a half it's taken me to go from like quite lost and still feeling quite disconnected to where I am now, where I feel so empowered and strong in my identity and who I am.
Yeah. So I know you talked about being vulnerable, you know, in one of your posts of being vulnerable. Is there anything in your life you went through that it was hard for you to be vulnerable about, but then you found the courage to be vulnerable, to be open about it today?
I think when it comes to vulnerability, I think the biggest thing for me was like my past relationships, and just being in a relationship where you felt like, you know, this is the person, this is it, like everything's so amazing, and then having it all fall apart and crumble. So I think for me during that time, like during the breakup time, was really hard because I wasn't vulnerable and I didn't accept what had happened. And I held on to the relationship for so long that it really stopped me from living my life, and it stopped me from growing. It stopped me from meeting new people. Like, it just really put my life on hold. So in that part, I feel like I had to be vulnerable with myself, as in like just accepting and acknowledging everything that had happened as it was, and then being open about it and acknowledging it and sharing it and speaking about it and just speaking it out and letting it out as, you know, part of the healing process, I guess.
Was the relationship toxic?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't toxic.
What was the issue?
Communication, or lack of communication.
Okay.
And which I feel like is it's definitely one of the biggest things in any relationship. You know, when that communication breaks down, it just makes everything really difficult.
How long were you in that relationship?
Just under 8 years.
Oh, that was a long relationship.
Yeah. It's a long time. Yeah.
So I do want to ask you, because I know a lot of women watch this, and they're always asking questions about relationships. And for me, whenever a relationship ends, you know, you already foresee this before it ends. You know, but we overstay. You know, but there's signs. You know, because for me, if it's meant to be, it's gonna work out. You know, if it's not meant to be, it won't work out. But then, I'm sure everybody has some kind of awareness, or maybe introspect, looking back, that you saw these things, you saw this like we knew within inside, whether it was 3 months, 6 months, or a year before, a couple of years before. Okay, this is probably not heading the right direction. But and also I know for a lot of it's just going, because a lot of men and women, when we stay in a long relationship, it's really hard to get out, because you already invested so much time into it already.
Yes.
So like, you know, a part of you is like, man, I'm already been doing this for 3, 4, 5 years. Like, and also the fear of going back into the dating market. Going back to I don't want to go back and, you know,
so be by myself.
You've been with this person for a long time. But I do know that any relationship, whenever it ends, it doesn't end on that date. It would ended a long time ago, but we just delayed it. And so I want to ask you, what were the things? So as far as communication, I want to ask you, like, what made you stay? I'm interested to hear from you. What were the signs that you saw? Because, you know, we say communication. Can you talk about examples for all the women that are watching this? And why? And I'm interested to hear your own perspective of why did you feel like did you end it at the moment you wanted to end it, or you saw this long time? You foresee this already, but then why did you why did you stay in the relationship? Because that's always the conversation I hear from a lot of men and women. Like, why do people stay in relationships that's not working out? Like, why do people stay in relationships that's not? Go ahead. I'm interested to hear from you.
Yeah. Especially what, 6, 7 years in, you like you said, you're already so invested, you know, and you have so much love for this person. They're your best friend. They're like your soulmate, and you know so much about one another. Yeah. It's definitely just like you really don't want to let that go, even if there's things that are not working. And like you said, even though you not predicted it, but you felt that there was a breakdown happening. And for me, that would have been like 18 months at least before. Okay. That I could feel that things were breaking down, because we both traveled a lot. So we were away from each other a lot. So, you know, having that distance between one another was really difficult. But then also coming back and seeing one another, and then not communicating how we were feeling and being genuine and authentic about it was also really difficult. But I feel like the worst thing is being complacent. And I think complacency is one of the biggest things in any relationship, that you feel like you're just so comfortable, you know, that you just go and do the same things. You go to work, you come home, you know, you hang out, you play on your phone, you go to sleep, you wake up, you do the same thing over and over and over again. And I feel like complacency definitely killed it on my own part. Definitely, now that I am where I am, I can take 100% responsibility for myself, that, you know, maybe I didn't put in enough effort. I didn't change things up. I didn't, you know, ask him how he was and talk about things that were a bit deeper than just surface level conversations. And the reason that I stayed is because I didn't want to be by myself. I didn't know how to be by myself. And I knew that he loved me, and I knew that I loved him. And I was just like, why isn't this working? Like, you know, like, why isn't it working when we've done all of these things? And so after a while, I just realized that I genuinely wasn't happy, because I was trying to please his needs and his wants and trying to do all of these things for him. And he's trying to do all of these things for me. But we weren't communicating what we actually just needed for ourselves. You know, like, I'm doing things for him that I think that he needs, and he's doing things for me that he thinks I need, but none of us have communicated actually what we really want, because we're obviously missing something huge in the middle there.
Why is that? I'm going to ask you, like, why is it that you didn't want to communicate like your own needs, or he did like just your own from your opinion?
Yeah, it's a really weird one, actually.
Because you spend so much time together, just listening from the outside in. Would it be easier to just tell him what you really want for yourself, especially with somebody you've been with for a long time,
love and that you spend so much time with, right? And so the thing was that I really wanted to travel and do all of these things. I felt like at the time that I was quite on path with where I wanted to be, like with my career and understanding where I was going. And I couldn't understand that he didn't know what he was doing. Like, he so freaking talented, like beautiful dancer, amazing ahua, like his energy was beautiful. But his timeline was behind mine, and that frustrated me, and that wounded version of myself. I didn't like that he wasn't up where I was, that he wasn't ready to travel, he wasn't ready to make quick decisions, and that's where it started breaking down, because I was like, come on, like, hurry up, what are you doing? Like, what are we going to do? Are we going to get married? Are we going to have kids? And all of these things. They're talking about it, but nothing happening. And that's definitely what frustrated me. But like you said, I didn't communicate that clearly enough. And, if I had just been truthfully authentic about the way that I was feeling, then maybe we could have talked about it and actually healed some of those things that were missing in the relationship. And same thing for him. If he had just, opened up a little bit more and not had fear, he shared with me that he was scared to tell me the truth about how he felt. And so, when you hear that from the person that you love, that they're scared to talk to you, it's really disheartening. And so for me to hear that, I was just like, wow, like, I've been with this person for so long, and they're scared of telling me how they feel. So the breakup itself was really different, because it wasn't toxic, no one cheated on anyone. It was just like, this isn't working, and we're at different levels, and I feel like we need to go our different ways. And I knew for myself that I know people hate the whole I need to go find myself vibe, but that was literally me. I was like, I feel like I've given so much of myself to this relationship and to my family and to everybody else. I haven't given that same love to myself. And so, that's where this whole empowerment and growth journey started, was from that.
Yeah, I know you mentioned that you said that what if you guys gonna get married? So I'm assuming that you guys weren't married.
No, we weren't married.
Okay.
We lived together, but we weren't married.
Yeah, I want to ask you. This is a question I always get from a lot of girls. Because more, in America, girls are like what girls say. Okay, if he doesn't put a ring on the finger for the first 2-3 years, you gotta. If it's too long, there's a timeline of. To know that if a guy wants to be with you, he'll put a ring on it. So I want to ask you, because that's a question I get from a lot of girls who reach out, and that's a conversation I always hear, just being friends. It's like, and I hear from girls, if guy really wants you, he put a ring on it. It just like, I guess for me, my personal opinion, I think for me personally, I think like. For me to know if I really want to marry this person, I think in 2 or 3 years is my timeline. Like 2 or 3 years, right? So what I do want to ask you, did that ever come to your mind? Okay, this person has to put a ring on a finger, and I'm just gonna give you my perspective.
Yeah.
And this is my opinion of how I see it, because I'm a guy. It doesn't take 8 years for a guy to realize that this is somebody he wants to be with and who wants to marry.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So how much of that do you feel like weighed on you? Like knowing, okay, we've been this for a long time, and he still hasn't asked me to get married. And I'm pretty sure that's something girls think about.
Like, surely, come on, surely he's gonna ask, definitely.
Yeah, how much of that? I want to ask you, how much of that played a role as far as like things breaking down?
Heaps. It played a huge role, because you're also being asked by your friends, like your family's asking you, like when he's gonna get married, and it's like, I don't know, maybe I should just ask him if he wants to marry me, but then it's like that's the guy's thing, and then it makes you kind of think like, oh, like maybe he doesn't want to marry me, like 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
But also in saying that, like I have so many cousins now who have been in their relationships for like 9, 10, 11, 12 years. I feel like
you have cousins that 9, 10, 11 years, then they haven't been married.
I feel like in New Zealand, there's this, I don't know, maybe it's just a modern day thing where now people just aren't getting married. I think personally, I feel like there's a huge fear around getting married because then you're at risk of being divorced. Like the way that relationships are growing now and falling apart so quickly, I think everyone is scared. And I feel for the men out there because that's a lot of pressure to go out there and to ask the person that you love to marry them. But like you said, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you know, you're going to ask them. And so, it's a really hard one, but that definitely played a lot on my mind and definitely contributed to my decision.
Which part of what year what year in the relationship when you realize, oh, okay, this is, because I'm sure in the first couple of years you're like optimistic of it working out. Okay, one day. Yeah. One
day, this is gonna happen. Like 5, 6. It would have been like around the 6. 6 years is already a long time, right?
That's when you kind of started doubting, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Just doubting the strength of the relationship and how strong that foundation really was, and but at the same time now looking back at that, I had so many other traumas that I still needed healing, but because we weren't communicating very well, we both let our own childhood traumas eat away at us rather than working on it as a partnership.
Did you ever have conversations like or gave him hints, hey, about marriage? Did that ever happen? Or...
Do you know what? To be honest, I don't think I did, because at that time I was definitely in a mindset of being scared of getting married. Like I think it's definitely in my nature that I have a fear of being in a committed relationship, like of being, that like feeling stuck. Whereas that's my own thing. There was obviously a belief that I had for myself that and because I'm feeling that and thinking that and having that energy, it's obviously manifested, and that's why he didn't ask. And so, whereas now I'm definitely like in a whole different energy where I feel like I'm actually ready and open to marriage. So it's a really strange one. But I don't think I did. We had little talks about it, like how you joke about it and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, when we get married and we're gonna have kids and this is my dream wedding and blah blah blah. But then when the other person doesn't reciprocate their energy, or they don't continue that conversation, then you just cut it. You're like, oh, never mind. Yeah.
I love what you said. Like you said that. You didn't ask him what he wanted or something like that. I'm not really the word for word, but I think that's something that's really important today. In everybody that's watching this, like in today's dating, the modern dating of men and women, we can't assume people want marriage today. I guess back in our parents' time, that was the culture. People married, and that was because one of the things I always when I talk to friends, and this is I feel like one of the reasons why relationships is a struggle today. I always tell people, it's like you have to make sure that you're transparent in the beginning and what you want out of it.
Yes.
And set the destination. Just like when you go on a boat, you have to set the destination.
Yeah. Exactly. If you don't know where you're going, you're just gonna go all over the place.
For years.
Yeah.
All right. So you have to set the destination. So it's really important to ask them, okay, this is what I want. I'm not just dating for fun, dating to have sex. I'm dating for marriage.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's important to set that in the beginning, so that way they don't have the same destination as you. Then it's fine. Okay, no problem. Then you can just move on. So that's So and then I just wanted to bring that up because I know I do hear from both men and women, go into relationships, and I was like, did you ever ask, or did you ever set that destination in the beginning? Because if both parties are just assuming, assuming they're just assuming, but there was no conversation or there was no set. So I think it's really, really important now to don't assume, because today the modern men and women are not the same when it comes to the older generation of our parents. So okay, so I do want to ask you is so you share that information on social media, being vulnerable, and you're doing and you said you have an online business. Okay, so what made you start? What made you inspired you to start the online business? Because that's something that's usually like something that you don't see a lot of Polynesians in, right? Especially Polynesian women. So it's kind of for me, I always love to see whenever I see the Polynesians like elevating their lives, doing better, going into industries that's different from the stereotypical things professions that we usually do as Polynesians. That's really exciting, because I feel like as Polynesians we have so much to offer. We have so much potential, intelligence, talent, and gifts that we have. But sometimes, like you said, our childhood, because we constantly have these stigmas or people telling you that you can't do anything. Oftentimes, personally, what I see is a lot of Polynesians never tap into their potential because they have these beliefs or things that kind of hold them back. So I want to ask you, what made you decide to go into the online business and doing what you're doing today?
Damn, that's massive. Sorry, can I rewind a little bit and
just
off on the relationship thing, because I think it's so huge, especially in terms of comparing relationships. Like you said, like back in the days, it's funny too, because I was talking to my mum about this, about one of my aunties who was being courted by my uncle. So my uncle was 22, my auntie was 16. Okay. And so, this would have been 30 years ago, like how they were dating, and how the dating scene back then was so different, because you're always going to get married. Whereas now, like you said, I feel like the exact reason why people are not where they want to be is because they're just fluffing around in relationships for the sake of it, and not even having any intention in loving that person or in giving their full time and energy to the other person. And I feel like so many people in relationships compare their relationship to other people's, and that's what stops their relationship from thriving, because they're always expecting theirs to be like other people's. And when it's not, then they feel hurt and cut. But then going back to what you said before, if we were communicating clearly enough and being open to our partner about the way that we feel and what we want in our relationship, then everything would flow so much better. But we're just spending so much time, wasting so much time in our heads, making up stories about, oh, he's out there doing this and that, or she's doing this and that, and not really focusing or just asking the person straight up, like, what do you want and what are we doing? And
No, that's good. Honestly, I want to go more into this topic. Let's disregard the online business. Put it aside. This is for all the ladies watching, because I know you guys love this stuff. So I have a question for you, because I study on this, when it comes to dating. Like I do a lot of research on this. It's something. Did you guys live together?
Yeah, we lived together for at least 5 years. 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys live together, and okay, and then you guys, but like you say, but he never put the ring on the finger.
Mm-mm.
Okay, all right. Did you guys share as far as financial support? You guys supported each other financially, or you guys just held it your own?
We mostly did our own. Like we'll go out and pay for each other's stuff and things, but because he was staying with me in my family home, so we had it really easy. Like we had everything so good. We just paid for like our board and our food and whenever we went out and stuff.
Okay, cool. No, because I do have a lot of women that do reach out to me to ask me questions about men, and and this is yeah. So okay, so I'm just trying to get the information right. So you guys live together, but it was your families.
Mm-hmm.
Your family's house. You guys just moved and lived within your family's house.
Yeah.
And then you guys you guys paid for your own expenses. He paid for his own expenses. And then, but of course, when you guys went out, then you guys paid for each other and had to go on dates. But for the most part, you guys, you pretty much were self-sufficient on your own.
Yeah.
The only thing that you guys, I guess, truly shared was like the home, but it was your family's home.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So, yeah, because this is something I always hear like from a lot of women. Like, how do I know if the guy is loyal? How do I know if the guy wants to marry me? How do I know if he's fully committed to me? And so this may be some information to you, anybody that's watching. So I always have to break it down. When men and women, that we show our love differently. So I guess this is something I always have to share for a lot of people, because a lot of women and men too, they assume that the way we show love is the same, right? And so this is for all the girls out there that, especially if you're trying to figure out if a man truly loves you and commits to you. So, and we can go back as far as biology, but for women, the way you guys show love is through loyalty and fidelity. Like you want to be loyal to one man, and that's how women, you guys show love. You want to be with one man. You want to give them your emotional intimacy, of course, physical intimacy as well. But you guys show your love through loyalty and fidelity, and then but for guys, we don't show our love through emotional intimacy. We show our love through protection, provision of that woman. And so I always tell a lot of girls is, a guy is fully committed to you is when he takes the responsibility to financially support you, provide for you, and put a roof over your head. Because that's how we show love. And and of course, there's data on this. If you go back as far as our human nature as masculine and feminine, like we think about that in the caveman days, what did we do in the caveman days? Like what did the guys do?
Food and
we went and hunt and create and provide, and we protected, and we make sure that the woman was safe. And then the woman, they stayed home, took, cooked, cleaned. Well, not in the caves back in the day, but they just made sure that they were with this man. So as we evolved to thousands of years till we get to today, it's the same way. A man, the way we show love is we want to protect the woman we love. We want to provide for the woman we love, and we want to put a roof over your head. So, and that's something I always that's something I always see in relationships, and I always tell people like, you're not the first person I've had a conversation with. I've met people that had relationships for 8, 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
And I tell them like, until a guy takes the responsibility of being that sole provider for you and protecting you, and of course you can still do your own thing, but he wouldn't want to. Men, like, we're very territorial of our woman that we really want to commit to. Like, we want to make sure that we provide everything for her because we don't want to lose her. And if a man is not willing to take that responsibility, in my opinion, he hasn't fully committed to you. And that's one of the hardest things that a lot of people when I talk to women, like, oh no, I've been with him for 5 years, we've been together for 5 years. I tell people all the time, like, tenure, how long you've been together doesn't mean anything. We can, but I always tell them, like, until a man fully wants to take that responsibility. And of course, he doesn't have to give you everything all at once, like give you all the things at our house, but he's working towards it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because as guys, like when we I realized this growing up, and just looking back as a child, like growing up as a teenager, I always remember when I saw a girl that I really, really liked, I always went out my way to like provide for her, like protect her. Something happened to her, I won't be the first one to do it. Right. And I did that without any advice, about like my dad didn't tell me how to like treat a, I mean, of course we knew how to like be respectful, but as far as how to show love to a woman, no, I didn't have that conversation with my dad. I just realized growing up, like when I felt deep affection for a female, I always had this need within me as a man. I wanted to protect her. I wanted to provide for her. Yeah. All right. So, and that's how, and it's still the same today. And it's if you do your research, if you look into it, is our love languages are very different, right? And even girls I meet today, I know I do meet some girls sometimes, and until they give me that intimacy, that fidelity, that loyalty, that's when I know they're serious. We go on dates. Just because I go on dates, just because we go on a couple of dates, for me, it doesn't mean anything until I see commitment. Until I see her, hey, I want to be with you and only you. That's till I get that verbal commitment, and that's how I know. Okay, because I also know that information as well. I know that love language, your love language. So I know a lot of guys who are, I've been with this girl for 3, 4, 5 dates, and she said that we're boyfriend and girlfriend now. I was like, okay, but is she loyal to you? Has she made it clear that you're the only guy she only wants to be with? Yeah. And she's willing to be open with that. Like you can go to her IG account today and it'd be no problem. And it's like, right? I'm not saying you have to be super, go the extra, be super. What's that word? The people that go into other people's accounts. What's that word for it?
Well, like
you always. Oh yeah. You always. Yes. Oh yeah. You're all crazy. Just being over. What's
that word?
Yeah, I forgot the word. When you always want to know, always want to know what they're doing, what they're, insecure. I guess insecure. You always, yeah. But I'm saying it, and I tell the same with guys also. I tell, look, just because you go on dates, just because you're girlfriend, it doesn't mean anything until that woman tells you, you're the only guy. Yeah. And of course, not only she says it, but she backs it up with her actions as well,
Yeah,
because people can say it. And the same thing what I say, I tell with my girls all the time, like for guys too. Yeah, it's until he commits to you and puts that ring on the finger and puts a roof over your head, and he's willing to pay your bills. Not because he, even if you make your own money, he's willing to pay your bills, and you can still make your own money. Until a man really makes that commitment, then that's how you know that guy is really committed to you. Because any guy can just, take you out, give you dates, buy you good things. I hear that from a lot of girls. Oh, he buys me all these things. That's the man. He does that to everybody. But until he puts a roof over your head, a guy will only go the extra mile for the woman he really wants. So, guys, our love language is protection, provision. And for women, your love language is you just want the intimacy, that's the only guy you want to be with. And as long as that guy does that to you, then everything's going to work out. What's your thoughts on that? I know that was a lot.
Yeah, well, definitely, like same for me, and watching my mum and dad, as I was growing up, my dad was always the protector. My dad's provided for my mum and like me and my siblings my whole life. Like that's all I've ever known, is that the male should provide and go to work and, do all the things and make sure that we're safe and that we have a home and that we're fed. And so that definitely had a big role in my perception of what a relationship should look like. And because his career wasn't a career where you would have a steady income, or, you're not just working one job, it was hard for him to provide that. But in saying that, there's always ways to figure it out, and there's always things that you can communicate to one another to make sure that you're still on the same page. But now, like nowadays, I definitely see like there's a huge turn, like for example, with me, with having like so many online businesses now, I know that it's quite intimidating for guys to approach women who do have, who are quite independent and are doing all these things, but at the same time, they should still at least put in the effort to provide.
Okay, so that's a good point, because I hear that a lot of girls, especially girls are very independent, financially stable, and and doing things on their own, and I always hear them say, guys are intimidated. All right. So, and this is one thing I would say, because going back to the point when I mentioned before, guys want to provide and protect for you, right? So the thing is, and I have how many friends I have? They're entrepreneurs, and they own their own businesses. Beautiful women. I'm talking about beautiful women, just like yourself, independent, pay their own bills, got bread, got money. But they always say, "How come I can't attract a guy?" And I always tell them the same thing. Like like I mentioned earlier, for guys, like we have the love language that we want to protect and provide for the woman we want. So I'm sure you've met a lot of guys in your life, but that after your breakup, that were attracted to you. But this is one thing I always tell ladies. When we see a girl, not only we are attracted to her physically, for the initial attraction, but we always, the way our mind works is like, when we see a woman that we want to pursue, we always want to make sure that we can come into your life and be that provider and protector. So one of the things for you is that you already are successful. You have your online businesses. You're supporting yourself. So when guys meet you, when they see you, in their mind, like, how can I come in and fit into your life and be that provider, protector, when you're already doing that on your own? If that makes sense to you.
Yeah. And so, that's exactly it. And that's what I feel. At the same time, I've done a lot of work to get to where I am, but it's also important for me to remember that me at the level that I'm at now, I will definitely attract someone who is at the level that I'm at. And so that's not something that I'm worried about. Like I did say intimidated, but at the same time, it's important that we're always going to attract someone who aligns with us and who's on the same level either way. Yeah.
No, of course. No, of course. I mean, there are a lot of guys that are intimidated. But I also say it's like there's a lot of guys who just they whenever you meet a girl, she could be perfect, she could have a job and everything, but for a lot of guys, they just they want to be the provider. It's just it's our way how we show love. And I've seen this with a lot of, and if they can't be the provider or be protected for you, they kind of lose their masculine energy, their confidence in themselves as a man. So like you said yourself, like the best bet for you is to find some guy that's in the same level as you. And I don't say that, when I say level, for everybody that's listening, I don't say that to disrespect anybody under you. I'm just saying is, if a guy or a girl of a certain level, the only person that can fully understand you, I guess, to come in and be that protector for you, be a provider for you, he has to meet you in the same level. But I guess it's all about confidence. So, but I do want to ask you, because you're at that business right now, does it matter to you, like if you do meet guys now today and you're trying to date them, does it matter as far as their career, where they at as far as their life? Does it matter to you, or
no?
Not really.
And that's the thing. It's not about career. For me, it's about knowing who you are and knowing where you want to be.
Okay.
I think people worry so much about what their job is and how much money they make, but it's got nothing to do with it. It's just about who you are and how you can treat the other person and how you guys can work together. That's the most important thing. And also has that kind of answered your question? But also touching back on those love languages, like there's also the other love languages, like words of affirmation and touch and giving gifts, and those other love languages are also so important. And I feel like it's something we miss. Like, guys might go out and buy a girl gifts, just assuming that she loves gifts. Like for me, for example, like that's not really my thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's important to understand the other person's love language and not assume that theirs is exactly the same as yours, because that's something that happened in that past relationship, is that I didn't honor his love language because his love language wasn't my love language. Yeah. And that's something massive that I see happening all the time as well.
Yeah, exactly. So as guys, like, because like I said, when we grow up, like, we don't have conversations with our parents about like what to do when it comes to, man, we just act on how we feel, like, based on our nature as men and women. So I told for both sides, I always tell guys, the way a woman sure gives you that loyalty, and then for girls, once that guy is serious and wants to really protect and provide for you. But I want to ask you, so I mean, that this is something I always hear from a lot of women like yourself are very successful. So you said it doesn't matter what he makes, right? So I mean, so in that relationship, that dynamic of that relationship, you would be the leader. Leading. Is that something you would really? So let me ask you. So I want to ask, what's your preference? Would you prefer a guy that comes in, that, at the same level as you or higher level as you, as far as like your career, and is very dominant? Just comes in, hey, this is I know what I want. This is what we do. We're gonna make this happen. And then, or a guy that comes in and because usually this is my experience, and usually what I see when guys make less money than the woman, he's typically more submissive to his woman. That's something I usually see, because like I said, money is today in modern society, it's a big thing. It's a big thing in the dynamic of the relationship. And usually the breadwinner in any relationship is usually the leader, the dominant in the relationship.
Yeah.
All right. And that's what I see it. So I want to ask you, is like, if you said you wanted to date somebody that doesn't matter. So would you prefer dating a guy that you're the leader and you're the dominant one and breadwinner and he's the more submissive one, or do you prefer somebody that's same level or more, and then he's kind of leading the relationship? That's a question I hear. Yeah, that's a question I hear.
Well, yeah. See, because of my past relationship, I earned a lot more than my ex-partner. So, like you said, that took a big, toll on our relationship, and it not lasting. So I'll be honest. Yeah.
I think what do you prefer?
It's important for him to be able to earn more. Yeah. The career doesn't matter, but definitely I think it's just a natural instinct to feel, that you can be supported and taken care of without having to worry about it.
Yeah, that's the other thing I always it's the reason why I brought that up, because I do hear some girls in the business, right? No, I don't care if the guy, whatever the guy makes, I'll date anybody from McDonald's.
I have to be honest, yeah.
I was like, come on, don't lie. The careers, and it does matter, because like you said, women, you guys, one of the things our creator created you guys is to procreate, so to have kids, right? So when you have kids, you're gonna be vulnerable. You want your man to be the one to hold it down.
Exactly.
Right? You don't want to have kids and then like now you're not working and he's looking at you like, hey, how are we gonna pay this?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to pay how I'm gonna pay bills. So that's why for a lot of women, it's really, even if you make your own money, it's really important to you to know that, it's just like, my man can take care of me whether or not I make money or don't make money.
Yeah.
Because I know, like I said, I know you're confident in yourself. I know you could go out there and make money yourself, but for a lot of women, there's a comfort feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
Of security, knowing that you're guy.
Everyone wants to feel like, that you are taken care of and can be
protected.
Protected, like regardless of whether I'm making my money or not, or how much it is.
Or something happens.
If something happens, I still want to feel like
your man got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's good. So I always make fun of my my friends. I was like, you want the the guy that has the money. Don't
Just be honest.
be honest. It's okay. And also for those guys as well. Sometimes like I do meet guys. Hey, they meet a wonderful woman like yourself, right? And hey, I met this woman, but I was like, why? So we're talking about her, like, oh yeah, she's great. This and this, man. I really love her, but it says but. I was like, what's the but?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, well, she makes more money than me, or she's in a higher level than me. I was like, so. If you love her, then
yeah.
what are you gonna? If you go love her, go out there and make something happen. Go, work on your life, work on your purpose.
Yeah.
If you tell me that this person is great, she's everything you want in a woman, but you just because you can't show that the love language that we show as men to her, because you're not able to financially support her the way she does. Then go to work.
Exactly. And that's the thing, right? People make up their minds so quickly, and they've already decided, oh, I can't have her because I'm not at that level. But what can you do if you really, really love that person and that you want them in your life? You'll find a way to make it happen regardless.
And for a lot of women that are watching this, they're probably saying, my friends, oh, why don't you just go to work? Stop making excuses. Right, so be a man, right? But this is the thing.
I want to speak on that because this is what happened in my relationship.
Yeah,
this is exactly what happened. I was like, if you're not making money doing your career that you love, then why don't you just go and find a job that you can make the money? And this had a huge breakdown because even though he was making money, he wasn't happy doing that. Yeah. And so you also have to consider, is the other person actually happy doing, they might be pleasing you, but are they happy? And is that fair for them to dishonor their own happiness for the sake of your relationship or because you want more money? Mm-hmm. So that's another huge thing as well. It's easy to say, go and get a job, but I think it's also important for them to be happy first and foremost.
Yeah. You mean find a job that you're happy with, and then you can find support the woman that you love, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing I say for a lot of women is like when you're a successful woman and then you meet a guy that's not as successful as you, it's not like he doesn't want to be with you. He's like fighting his nature. And I know that's hard to understand for a lot of women, but it's not like he's intimidated. It's just in our nature where, as men, that we have to feel confident in providing and protecting the woman. You got the charger?
Yeah.
Nice. It's just as women that we have to. As men, we have to feel confident. We have to feel confident in protecting and providing for the woman we want.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, then it's really, really hard. You can be the most amazing girl or guy, but if the other person can't express their love language, like I always tell this, like sometimes I would do the reverse, right? Sometimes I see a couple which is the guy is really, really successful, protector, provider, everything, right? Provides for her, gives her everything she wants, she needs, but he doesn't show her, the girl, the intimacy that she wants. So even if she meets the right guy and he has all the things that most girls would dream of, the house thing, the thing, and this, but like you said, your love language as women, it's intimacy. You want that loyalty from that man, right? And that guy can be great if he's not showing that intimacy for a lot of girls. And for a lot of guys, because I do have friends, guys that are very successful, and then they meet some girls and it's like, man, how come I just what more she wants from me? I give her gifts, I pay for her, I got a good job. I'm gonna take care of they struggle. I was like, I tell them, look, her, like, you understand that that's our love language, right? Yeah. Just because you pay for her stuff and you financially doesn't mean that's what you got. What you needed from the relationship, but what she needs is intimacy. So you have to show her that not only the physical intimacy, but she needs emotional intimacy. And because you don't provide that for her, that's why you guys are having issues.
Yeah.
All right. And so I'm just saying it goes both ways. If we have to understand the intimacy of the love language of both parties. Yeah. And sadly today, because of modernism and because
TV,
has changed those roles, right? And that's why there's a big disconnect, because back in the day it was easy because everybody knew, like the traditional back in our parents back in the day, that was easy. The man made the money and the woman stayed home, right? Yeah. So the natural love language of both parties was expressed normally. But now, we live in modernism where girls are making more money now. Guys, don't want to, I'm not really stepping up no more for whatever reason. So now it's like the balance, I guess the unique balance of what a relationship works with. The guy provides and protects, the girl shows intimacy and fidelity. That it's because of modernism of this new generation of what a man and woman should be, and then of course everybody's confused now.
Yeah, it's so hard. Everyone's so complicated.
Yeah, everyone's so confused now, and that's why and like it doesn't matter. That's why I always say that it doesn't matter where you come from or what part of the world it is. Usually relationships always work out when the guy is the protective provider. And when I say that, I don't mean like he has to be the breadwinner. Like the woman could be the breadwinner, but he has to make sure that he can provide her and make her feel safe, provide for her. Yeah. So I don't want all those girls out there to come after me. Hey, men, women, we can provide. So yeah, of course. I'm just saying it doesn't matter who provides or who makes more money. Money is irrelevant when it comes to, it is an important piece, but like you said, as long as that woman feels secure and safe, that her man can take care of her no matter what, then of course the man feels that intimacy, the emotional intimacy from the woman. That's usually when it works. It balances out. It's so dating cool. Today. Dating today. Yeah. So did you want to add anything to that?
I just want to speak upon, like, I really love how you're sharing like the conversation that you've been having with some of your boys as well, and I think that's a huge thing, because guys don't talk to their mates about intimacy and about relationships, but they're going on out there trying to have this perfect relationship, but they're not talking to anyone about it. Like, it's all stuck in their head, and they're trying to think up this perfect relationship probably from these 20 people that they watched on their Instagram in the morning, and constantly trying to copy and do what other people are doing because they like that. But just talk to your friends and just be really open and vulnerable about it, because relationships are huge. There's no one way to do it. There's just so much to learn, and the whole thing is a learning journey. If you make mistakes, that's okay, but be willing to make the mistakes and learn from it.
Yeah, and for me, like I'm not ashamed to talk about my mistakes, because I remember in the past I used to date girls that I really, really liked, but I never understood their love language, where they needed. Because for me, I'm very like I don't like to talk about my emotions. All right.
Most don't.
But I've learned it, like you said, through my own process, self-development and personal growth. I realized within myself, I need to be more open with myself and not be closed off. So back then, when I had relationships, I never opened up. So I would just like show up, take care of her, and that's it. And that's all. And that, and never, I wasn't like the texter or I try to go the extra mile to be emotional. I will show affection, but I will never show emotion, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'll show affection, like, hey, you're pretty. I like, but I will never show my true emotions of how feelings, how I felt. And for women, you guys sense that. I don't know. You guys have this intuition. You guys have this like sixth sense when you can feel the guy is not being upfront or being open with you, or just holding something back. I don't know.
And then it's like, why are we even in this relationship if you don't even want to open the door?
Yeah, so I don't know how you guys. I guess you guys are born with that sense, but I always felt my relationships that they felt that. I was present, right? But
you weren't present.
But my mostly I wasn't ready to give that up to any woman, just because of the that's because I grew up in a tough Polynesian home, where we were masculine. Being masculine was taught that we don't show emotions. We're tough. That's what men do. So that's how I grew up. So it's like it's ingrained in me. It's ingrained in me. So like, so I realized looking back at my relationships, so that didn't work out. And then when I started doing my research on and learning about it and understanding the love language, I was, oh wow, that's what women want.
Oh, that's what happens. Yeah.
Oh, you guys want emotions. Wow. I was trying to figure out myself. I was like, what's going on? What's going on? I was like, oh, women want emotions, and I didn't know that. It's not like there's a manual out there for a book for men and women.
Exactly. And that's like my house too. Like my parents are not very emotional at all, and so growing up and then going into my first relationships, I didn't know how to do that, to like show emotion and to be vulnerable as well. And the same for my ex-partners, like exactly the same. And you're just going out there trying to get everything right, but you have no idea what you're doing. But yeah, like you said, we're just learning constantly from all those mistakes, and then hopefully the next one's going to be a little bit better.
Yeah, because I remember, like I would do everything that I see everybody else do. Okay, I would text the girls. Okay, I guess they want a good night text. Okay, that's what I'll do. So I'm just looking at social media, like, okay, women always post about, we want a good morning, good night text. Okay, I'll do that.
But also, like, how many women out there, like your man is like, oh, what do you want? And then the girl's like, oh, I don't know. And then the guy goes, oh, I don't want anything. Like, I'm good. Like, like when a guy's like, oh, what do you want for your birthday? And then the girl's like, oh, no, I'm good. I don't want nothing. And then the birthday comes, and then the guy gets her nothing, and then she gets pissed off. It's like, you said you wanted nothing. You're not communicating. Like, so many women do that. Like, just be open, man.
Well, that love languages, because like women, right? Every girl I've ever dated, every time I ask them on the first date, what do you want to eat? They would never tell me the answer. All right, but like I said, like if you look back at the love language, like women, you guys just want to be protected from the man. Like you want us to step in and be like, hey, just figure it out. You guys want us to figure it out.
Yeah, we just constantly
provide it. Back then, like the caveman, we went out and found the food for you. We didn't ask you what did you want back in the caveman days. We went out there and just found the food and gave it to you, right? So it's the same thing now. Like we've evolved the generation that our instincts as humans back in the day is still the same. Like you don't ask women what they want. You just get the food and put it in front of her. If she doesn't like it, go get more food.
Yes,
go get more food. And that's always like a phenomenon. It's like people are like, well, how come women? I was like, dude, it's just our love language. You can't go against our nature of how we were created. It's and so if girl, even though she tells you, I don't want this, just provide for her, just protect this, just go do, go buy her the things. It's not really about the. I want to ask you. It's not really even about the gifts. I think they just want to know that you got them. They just want to know that that you can support her, you can provide for her, and you can protect her. Is that true? I just thought about this right now. Like, is it really about the gifts, or just knowing that your man can provide that for you?
Well, yeah, like I said before, everyone's got different love languages. Like some women love gifts and being showered with like surprises and things. Some women love just having quality time. Some women just love being affirmed and being, given words of affirmation. I can't remember what the other ones are. Touch. Like some people just love touch. Like they don't need gifts and everything. They just need to know that that person is there, by connecting in different ways. So it's easy to assume that every woman wants intimacy and every woman wants gifts and things. But like I said, the best way to find out is to ask them. And if that person chooses not to share, well, then that's their loss. If they're not going to tell their mate what they want, well, then of course they're going to lose out. Like, I think so many women expect their partners to be mind readers, and then they get upset when their mind reading didn't work. But, you know, it's important for both sides to be responsible and to take responsibility for the relationship to work together, rather than just trying to make the man do all the work or make the other person do all the work.
Yeah. I feel like it's like I love what you just said, like, you know, reciprocation, right?
Yeah.
Which also come, one of the craziest things I always hear from a lot of people, and I hate when people say this, or I hate even when people post this on social media, is when somebody talks about reciprocation, and when they say, you know, a relationship should be like 50-50, right? And I hate that, because like, no, a relationship should be 50. It's 100-100. Like, you both 100-100. You know, there's, you know, you both are choosing to give your best, because when you say 50-50, then that's like you're choosing to not give your best to your partner. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, and that's why relationships fall apart. Is because if you're not giving your all, like you say, women, you guys can sense that from us if we're not giving our all, and also for men too. When we know a woman is not giving her all to us, we also can sense that as well. But you guys are more aware of it than us. We shouldn't even worry about what the number is. You know, we should just like give everything when you give everything you are, because once I feel like as a person, like when you see somebody give their all to you, like you feel that, and then that makes you want to give their all to them, right? Because I often hear like guys or women, men and women, like, I'm gonna give 50, and then you see somebody give 50, then now you want to give 50, and then you wonder why it doesn't work out. But for me, like, when I see somebody give me their all, like it puts like a fire within me. Oh wow, she's like giving me my all. I gotta give. I wouldn't feel man enough if I gave her less than what she gave me.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a healthy individual, if you're a toxic individual, you will love that 50%. I'm talking about the healthy individual. If you're a healthy individual and have like you love yourself and you appreciate other people, when somebody gives you 100%, you feel like you have to match it, and you wouldn't feel comfortable with yourself feeling less. So I feel like I love what you said. Like, we have to give each other 100%, and also communicate. Yeah, that's key.
Okay, yeah.
You know, if all the men out there, like, communicate. The only thing I would say that women will never communicate is where they want to eat. That's never gonna happen.
I'll say it.
All right. I want to ask you, because I know you did mention so are you still in the phase of from the relationship, or have you like gone back into the dating scene now?
Like now, like literally probably only in like the last month or so, I feel like ready. Like I feel like open, whereas still, I still had like a lot of trauma, and I still had a lot of healing to do. But probably because now I'm seeing a lot more other people and connecting with different people, I feel like maybe those wounds weren't as heavy as I thought. And so that just allows me to open up a lot more now. So yeah.
I want to ask you, so
opening up now.
Oh, nice. So now, like, I'm interested. You went through a long relationship, and going back into the dating market. Congratulations. Woo. So how so now, because you went through a lesson, and I always tell people everything that happens to us is like either a blessing or a lesson. It's never a negative. It always happens for a purpose. So now you've learned from your last relationship. How do you approach men now? And when you finally meet somebody you like, what are the things that you're gonna do now that you never did before? In the beginning of the relationship.
Yeah. Definitely communicate like what I would like in the relationship. I think that's definitely the biggest thing, especially now. Like I'm a bit older, like I'm a lot older than I was in my last relationship, which was 5 years ago. So I gave myself, quite a bit of time to just be on my own and to do myself. Definitely communicate like my feelings and make sure that the communication is open. that would definitely be my biggest thing. I just couldn't be with someone that wasn't willing to be vulnerable or, open up and be emotional and communicate exactly how they feel and what they want as well.
What's the very first thing you're gonna, I guess, like you said, now I'm sure now you have your standards and your boundaries and your expectations of what you want this relationship to be, right? So what is, like, out of all the standards, out of all the boundaries, out of all the expectations, what's the very first thing that you're gonna like set in the beginning that he needs to know? If this is gonna go any step further, he needs to know this. He needs to know this.
This is so funny. This is so funny because me and my mates always joke about this, but I'm always like, no, I'm going to go find me a husband and we're going to have babies. Like, that's it. Like, that's the level that I need.
The husband, babies.
I'm like, no, yeah, I'm getting married. I'm going to have a husband and we're going to have babies.
So I guess when you meet a guy, that's like the first thing. Like, if you're going to go down this path, like husband,
yes.
babies.
If you're not going to be a husband or have babies, then no.
All right, cool. All right, so I want husband and babies. Is there a timeline for you that you're comfortable with, like as far as like when you're ready to get married? Because like, a lot of people, there's some people get married in a week. Some people get married 6 months. Some people get married in a year. For you, what like
well, how like just a feeling thing, eh?
The feeling, yeah, for
like
you, yeah.
It's so important. Like, if the vibe is on, if you both reciprocate the way that you feel and you're both open to communicating, how the relationship is going and what you both want, I feel like if you know, then you will know. And I don't like to put a time on things, but definitely it would not reach that 6-7 year mark.
Yeah,
like, I'd be like, come on, like 1-2 years that you should know.
2 years, huh? So you give them 2 years?
I think that's a good amount of time.
yeah, 2 years. Yeah, I know. For me, like, if I can be with somebody for at least 2 years, I know, like, that means okay, I can do another 1,000,000 years,
Yeah.
So 2 years is good, because I feel like 2 years is a good time to know them, know their love language, know how they, the things that make them happy. You can't, you can't find that information, but I guess it's different for everybody. Some people just connect. I've seen people get married, they get like 1 week, and then everything is good. They're happily married. So, but yeah. So I want to ask you is I just had the question in my mind. It just came out. I just lost my train of thought. Wow, I just lost my train of thought. I had that question. I'm really mad right now. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. So, what are the red flags? That's one of the asks. So, what are red flags that you when you see this, it's like it's a no go for you?
I think for me, like, a red flag is someone that's not willing to be uncomfortable, and I mean like uncomfortable with their own traumas. Like, people have so many things that they don't unpack. But I'm such an open, like, and loving and caring person. And like, I'm willing to give that person time to like open and unpack their own things so that they can grow as well. So I think a red flag is someone that's just not willing to be open and to be vulnerable with their own shadows, I guess. And I guess I just don't, it's hard. I don't really attract people that are toxic or who have like lots of red flags. So yeah, that's a weird one, but just people that are not a vibe of just, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, I generally, like, I naturally attract people that are similar to me and that have a good vibe and who are naturally caring and do all the things. Okay. Yeah, it's just probably communication. If the communication is off, then it's probably... Well, if they didn't want to have babies and get married.
That's the biggest thing. They want to have babies and get married.
Yeah.
Okay. Got you. So I do want to ask you is when the oh my God, it's happening again. I had the question. Oh no, yeah. So for you, as far as what age are you attracted to? Do you want an older guy that's older than you, or do you prefer younger guys? What's your dating age range? What's your dating range?
Most of mine have been younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like how young? Like what?
Like usually within like 3-4 years.
3-4 years. Okay. Oh, that's not bad. Okay. Mm-hmm. So for you, like, what's like the lowest you can date right now?
How old am I? Probably like 27. 27.
So
that's 5 years ago.
Anything less than 27 is too young for you?
I don't know. Like, these days, people are so. You can meet someone that is 20 that is so mature and so woke and so knowledgeable, and then you meet someone that's like 30 and they don't even know what they're doing with their life. So I don't think age is. It's got nothing to do with age. It's just about.
All right.
And yeah.
Wow, you just gave hope to a lot of guys watching this right now. Nice. Okay. What's the oldest you can date? What's the oldest you can date?
I can feel my face cringing. I don't know. Probably like 35, 4?
30, what? 35, 34?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
You want to date like a 40-year-old? 40?
No, I need, I'm a very active person. Like, I need someone that's, excitable and like loves adventure and stuff.
What if he's very fit, 40 years old?
Nah.
No.
No. You're trying to open up the range, and I'm like, no, we'll just keep it.
So even a guy that's 40 that's very fit, like he's like in very good shape. No.
No.
Oh, okay.
Never been with anyone that's more than 2 years older than me. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you okay? So you like this? You like the same age or younger?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. All right. So I know this is one of the. Do you meet people in dating apps, or do you like person to person?
I've never. These are the best conversations. I love it. I can't wait to share this. Like I just can't do dating apps, and I definitely just need to feel people's vibes in person. Mm-hmm. However, like I have connected with so many beautiful tane, which is men in Tongan, in Maori, through Instagram and Facebook and that, who, you can feel their energy. So just with messaging and that, like, is all good. But at the end of the day, yeah, I do prefer meeting people in person.
Okay. So somebody DM'd you, and then you guys start a conversation on there, and then eventually meet up. That's okay?
Yeah, I reckon that's okay. Especially
okay.
Today's day and age, like there's so much happening. There's so many people out there. I guess people are just trying any new way to like meet other people. I haven't done that yet, but I mean, that's an option.
Okay. Have you? How long before? One of the things people always talk about, like the talking stage on. Say you connected with somebody on social media. Naturally, there's always going to be the back and forth first, the talking phase before you actually meet. So if you meet somebody on social media that you connected with, and you guys are talking through social media, how many days or weeks is your phase of talking before before you have to meet? If you don't meet, then it's gone. Then you're done with that person.
I'm just laughing. My sister's like 2 hours. I don't know. That's a different thing because it depends on the conversation. It depends on the vibe, but
that's a complaint here from Latin America. Like people complaining about the talking phase. Like they're tired of the talking phase. They just want to meet.
Yeah, like honestly, if you really like that person, you'll just go and meet them. Like surely within a week you would know if you like someone or not. Like actually, my ex, we only talked for like 10 minutes before we messaged each other, and we didn't see each other for like months. We just messaged that whole time, and then we met up again. So everyone's different, but if you really want to meet someone, then they will be willing to meet you.
So you said you there was a period of 10 months before you guys met up again?
3 months.
Oh, 3 months. Okay. Do you guys live in the same city?
Yeah.
And you guys didn't meet for 3 months?
No. Did we?
Okay.
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's
I was a lot younger. But also another relationship was the same, just we had never talked to each other, but just messaging as well. So I don't think there's a time on it, but you could easily know something within a week, like if I'm honest.
No, I'm just saying it's like you were 3 months in the same city with a guy and you didn't meet within the 3 months. That's
we probably did. I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you said it best. If somebody really wants to be with you, like you find a way.
Yeah.
Outside of like out of state or out of country dating, long distance, and they may be a little bit longer, but if you guys live in the same city or the next city over, then there should be no problem. There should be no problem with meeting up.
Yeah.
So I know that's what I always hear people like, and I'm tired of the talking phase. I was like, no, like you're just talking to the wrong people.
Yeah, exactly.
If somebody wants to be with you, they'll be with you. And if they make an excuse.
People get so stuck on that one person. There's like millions of people out there.
I know, because
you spend all your time giving it to the one person that doesn't want to meet you, then that's you choosing to stay in that space.
I know a lot of people just they want that one person, but the reality is, sometimes the person you want is not. They don't want you. That's
the person. Yeah.
They don't want you.
Yeah.
Sometimes we want somebody in our head.
Yeah, exactly. You've already made the big relationship in your head, but the person's already thinking about something else.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, like, as far as social media, does it because one of the biggest topics that whenever it comes to relationships is like social media, right? So for you, if you're dating somebody, like, are there any social media red flags that you see that if he's doing this on social media, that maybe that's the person that you want to be with?
Not really that I can think of. Like
the biggest thing here in America is like girls always when guys like other girls' pictures.
When guys
like other girls' pictures.
Oh, I don't know. It's a hard one. I guess it depends on the pictures. Like, it's pretty obvious if your man is liking pictures of something that's inappropriate or that he knows might make her feel uncomfortable, then it's different. But if it's just other girls, then that's fine. Like, and once again, that's something that needs to be communicated. Like, it's no good just being angry, behind your phone, but you're not talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's something that needs to be communicated by the guy as well. But once again, like, I've never attracted males that are like that. So that comes from a lot of toxic energy, probably, on both sides. And if if the other person's feeling triggered, then it's also important for them to ask, what is it about them that's within themselves that they feel triggered about? It's not really about the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So
I want to ask you, because I know you mentioned you were 32. So do you feel like is it easier or harder for you to date because you're 32? Because I have some friends that they're over 30, and then they do voice their complaints about how hard it is, especially for women. They once they turn 30, a lot of we know the culture now. Like, once you hit 30, then they consider you too old now, right?
Yeah.
Too old now for both men and women, but usually that thing is more on the woman, right? So do you like, based on your experience as far as like dating, do you see that is it easier, harder, or that doesn't matter?
I can't really say if it's easier or harder because I haven't been like actively looking or dating, but I guess it's just the same.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's like millions of people out there. Like, you're going to attract the people that are meant to be in your space regardless. So
that's true. That's true. I want to ask you, does kids matter to you? If he has kids already?
That's a hard one, actually. I've thought about this. Probably, like, if I'm honest, I probably would prefer if he didn't.
Okay.
I think that's just a personal thing.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
At the same time, I guess it just depends on the relationship. I think not only with him, but also the mum.
The baby mama?
That's really important. Yeah, because I have a best mate who she's got a blended family, but it's like beautiful. So it really depends on the relationships between, you and the partner, and then with the baby mama. Yeah.
Do you have I know you say that you'll make an exception, like, depending on situation, how you feel about that person. But is there like a certain number of kids that there is no chance?
I think more than 2 is too many.
2 kids, no more.
Yeah, like 2.
That's too much.
Yeah, 2 max. Yeah.
Does it matter the age though? What if we have 2 kids, but it's like we're just 2 babies? Does that matter, or like does that have any kind of impact to your decision?
Yeah, if I'm honest, like if they were like already in their teens, I know that's a really like disruptive age. For kids in blended families, because I've seen that in teaching. Mm-hmm. So I think it's better if the children are younger rather than older.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So I know I've told you some of the things a lot of girls and guys struggle here in America as far as relationships. I want to ask you, what are the things that New Zealand struggle with in relationships that may be different from here, from America?
What do we struggle with in New Zealand?
Like, because a lot of things I asked you is most of the things I hear here in America, as far as the dating culture here. But other things, is there some things in the dating culture in New Zealand that you guys are the want from the partner or whatever that that's different from here? I'm just interested to hear that.
I'm just trying to think of like what is different. I feel like for all relationships, one thing that's really weird is just guys like putting themselves out there. Like some guys are just a bit too quick in the DMs and like not respectful of women's like space and emotions. I think that's something that puts off a lot of women when it comes to the dating scene. Give
me an example.
Oh, like just people wanting to meet up, or just sending like rude messages, inappropriate messages when you haven't even met them. Like guys do that all the time, which is obviously not a good thing. But they think that's okay. So
that happens. They're just creeps. That happens everywhere.
Creeps everywhere. But I feel like being shy is probably one of the biggest things. Like Kiwi males are naturally very shy, very, very shy when it comes to approaching women, and just being upfront about the way that they feel. So that's probably one of the biggest things. I don't know. It's really hard. I can't really speak on it because my experience in that is very little.
No. So do you want to marry another Polynesian, or what's your preference?
Probably Maori. Like I'm so connected to like my Maori roots, and
give me like top 3.
I'm just like breaking hearts on this podcast.
No, you're giving opportunities, you're giving hopes to certain people. So Maori, right? But that'll be the first choice. But would you like date other Tongans or Samoans?
Probably like mixed. Like I do, because I'm mixed and I understand what it's like to grow up in like in a mixed home.
Okay.
Probably more prefer a mix.
All right. So there's no chance for Balagis. No chance. Okay.
No, thank you.
I said no, thank you.
Half like mixture is fine.
Okay, that's fine.
It's a whole different vibe and culture thing.
That's fine. No, I want to ask you, because I think this is gonna be a good question, because I do hear this from a lot of. So you want to marry Polynesian, right? So you're Polynesian too, and you're very independent, vocal, self-reliant, self-sufficient. You can handle your own. The one thing I do know for most Polynesian men, they prefer a very feminine woman to stay home and raise and cook and clean. And that's always one of the biggest challenges I hear from a lot of Polynesian women here. Is that, they're have their own business, they're very vocal, very strong, very independent, but they want to marry a Polynesian man. But the problem is most Polynesian men were raised very traditional, and they want the woman to stay home. So so it's really, really hard for them to, like, there aren't a lot of Polynesian men that, very have their own business. It's a few, and if they're already married already. All right. So is that something you face from a lot of Polynesian men that do meet you, and then they see you very vocal, very independent, and then they just like, they just veer off to the, because that's what I hear that from my own friends. Like, most Polynesian men, even
it's
to
a
me,
weird one though, because at the end of the day, they get to choose. They get to choose whether or not they are going to allow another woman in their life who is strong and who is powerful. And it really makes me question whether or not it's an ego thing. Is it really about the ego?
No, it's just that's how we were taught.
Yeah, I know, but is it, they still get to choose, the way that we were brought up and the beliefs that we have, those are very ingrained, but we always get to choose the new beliefs that we wish to have and to grow. So I guess, if you want to limit yourself to that, then that's your own choice. Yeah.
No, yeah. I'm just saying is, I wanted to ask if that's something that you see and then you experience, because because I have my conversations, but you already know this. There's only, most people just never fight their beliefs. Most people don't change. They always stay. That's the majority of people. They stay the same. There's only very few people that challenge what they were taught. It's a very small amount of people. So if you find those people, those men, hey, good luck to you. It's a blessing. But but that's something I just hear from a lot of Polynesian women here. Is majority of the men, most of the men they meet, they prefer to have a woman that stays home.
Submissive woman.
Yeah, submissive woman. And a lot of them also have met Polynesian men that were in the same level as them or higher. But they were the same also. They still preferred somebody to stay home. So it's for them, it's like they want to marry Polynesian men, but they also want to be, independent and do their thing. And it's a very hard thing to navigate. So that's something that we're facing here. So I'm just interested to ask you if that's something that when you meet New Zealand men,
I definitely see that.
Is it the same? Is it the same?
Yeah, I definitely see, like you said, because that's what they've seen with their parents. That's what they want as well.
Yeah.
So they're continuing that tradition, I guess, because that's all they know. But the Polynesian men that I do meet who are not about, who are happy and willing to encourage and empower a woman who is, comfortable standing on her own 2 feet. That's because they've done a lot of inner work, and they've, they started to let go of traditional beliefs and created their own. So, I've had conversations with both sides. Obviously, a lot of my Polynesian friends are a lot more open, and they're there to empower and to uplift their women. And in the Polynesian culture, we're very stuck in that belief that the woman does have to stay home. But for me personally, it's not really something that I am connected to, because women can be more than someone that just stays home and does the cooking and the cleaning and raises the kids. We're really powerful, and there's so much more to it than just doing that. And I think for the male as well, it's important to us, cool that makes you happy that your wahine stays at home, but is she happy though? And for a lot of those things, that's what it comes down to for me.
I want to ask you, would you be willing to be a stay-at-home? Like, say you meet a guy, he got it. He provides everything. He's very successful. Would you be willing to be that stay-at-home mom?
Well, for me, it's fine. Like, that's why I've got all my businesses, so that I can stay at home and have kids and, raise them in my own time. Yeah.
Okay. if you met, this is gonna be one of those tough questions. So if you met the guy, that you really, really like, really like, and he provides you everything, everything's good, but he prefers you not to like have any business. He just wants you to pull 100% of your focus on being at home and take care of your kids and let him do everything. Like he wants to be the main provider. But like I say, you guys connect, he's emotional, you guys are open, he gives 100%, everything is good, everything, he fits all the things that you want, but the only thing he just wants to be, he doesn't want you to work at all. He just wants you to stay home, and that's what he wants. Is that still possible for you or no?
I guess for me, because like my business there's like my biggest passion, which is in helping people. So it would make me, I would ask, is it about the money that I'm bringing in, or is it about the work that I'm doing? So if it was a money thing, then that would be fine. Like I wouldn't need the money if he's more than willing to provide me and our family what we want. But but I would still love to be in that space though, to be able to help and empower people.
Nice. Okay. All right, cool. That's always a conversation I have from a lot of my successful women friends out here. I always tell them, if you do meet somebody, would you be willing to like do that? And then a lot of them say no. They're like, well, tough. I hope you the best. I wish you the best. I wish you the best. Because I feel like in both sides, and like I feel like as I feel like I think that the one conversation I feel like that needs to be made, doesn't matter how strong a man you are, doesn't matter how strong of a woman you are, in any, I feel like you can add on to this if you want, but I feel like in any relationship, there is compromise. There has, you can't just get everything you want out of, there is something, that you have to be willing. And I feel like for very strong individual people, like I have very strong male friends, I have very strong female friends. And when I say strong, I don't mean like I'm just saying, they're very confident, very ambitious, whatever. And I always tell them, as strong as you are, you have to understand that a relationship is still reciprocal. You can't be too strong over, like you have to give up something. It's like I always say, like it's give and take. A relationship is give and take. We were both giving up something up. It's not a dictatorship. It's a partnership. But for a lot of strong people, that's what they want to find this magical person. But then they want to control, like they want to be in control of everything, and that's one of the hardest things I always have to tell both sides, men and women. Look, there's something you have to give up. But like I say, it just really comes down to what you really want at the end. Like, if you really want to get married or you want to have kids one day, then there's something that has to be. There is some sacrifice. Sacrifice. There is some. You can't want something and give a sacrifice. Don't sacrifice anything.
Absolutely. In every relationship, you have to be willing to compromise and to make sacrifice.
And then I always tell them, if it's only one sided, you know what that means? That's called toxic.
Yes, exactly.
That's called toxicity, right? This is a question I hear from a lot of. I want to ask you. Attraction, physical attraction, is that important to you? Like being you have to be physically attracted, because sometimes I hear from a lot of women that looks don't matter, I don't care how they look. I'm like, stop lying. But I feel like no, but for you, like fit the physical attraction matter, like they have to be like physically attracted. You have to be physically attracted to them in some type of way.
Yeah.
All right.
It's funny. I had this conversation with one of my girls the other day, and we were talking about this. I'm very, that's definitely a big thing for me.
So you want to be able to date an ugly guy?
Well, depends what ugly is. But, I mean,
your definition. Everybody has levels.
Yeah.
So whatever ugly means to you. That's what I mean. So if you meet somebody according to your perspective,
it's not on the level that I'm looking for, then no.
No, nothing. Yeah. But let me ask you: if he has everything else, the only thing he doesn't have is his looks.
No, because it's important, because, you know, if you're going to be intimate with that person, you have to be physically attracted to them. Me personally, for my own experience, like if I'm not physically attracted to them, then the intimacy won't be as, you know, on a level as it could be with someone that I was physically attracted to. But I know everyone's different. Everyone has their own. Oh, okay.
Everyone's the same.
Yeah, they just lie. They just say that it doesn't matter.
Exactly. No. I absolutely believe what you said, because like I do believe, no, you have to be, you have to be physically attracted to the person you want. You know, not only physically attracted, you have to be sexually attractive. You know, like you want to be attracted to that person. You want to make sure that you want to be sexually attracted to him, you know, because in your own way, like I said, when it comes to like how beautiful someone, that's subjective to anybody, you know. So depending on what you see, but you should be physically attracted and sexually attracted to your partner. That should be a big big aspect of it. I do hear people like, I don't care, I don't worry, and then they end up people lose interest or lose a spark. And I was like, I feel the physical part. But I feel like today people is just very because today is very sensitive. So like if a guy say, oh, I'm not attracted to you, then people will label them, oh, he's a shallow guy. Or if a girl does that,
Yeah.
Because of the culture we live in. For me, I feel like it's healthy. Like as long as you're not as long as it's so important for us to honor what we love and what we desire, because so many people say, oh no, like doesn't matter what they look like, and then they they go out with them and they're doing all these things, but deep, all along they're not even attracted to them. They're not attracted.
And then that stink for the guy, because he's been built up to believe that this girl is like fully in love with him as he is, and she's not. So you have to be honest and truthful to yourself and to the other person.
And then like the first guy that comes that is physically attractive and say something, and then she ends up leaving, or vice versa.
Are you speaking from experience?
No, I just figured out what happens. Like if you're not physically attracted to somebody, you're more susceptible to go like you're just there for that. It's only temporary. Then you go somewhere else, and I feel like it's really really important. So for you, when you say physically attractive, what does that mean to you? Fit?
Oh, like like they look after themselves, that they're fit, like in healthy shape, and
so no overweight.
You can feel when a person is confident within themselves. I think that's one of the biggest things.
So they can't be overweight. I guess a guy can be overweight for you.
Yeah, overweight, but as long as they can keep up and be active and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Like good. Take care of their body. Like as long as they take care of themselves.
Yeah, but if they just let themselves go, it's a no-go.
It's a no-go. They just have to be honest, Yeah.
No.
Because for me, like health is so important.
That's true.
True. And you want to be with someone that can have children, that is, that can be active with them and run around with them and take them to the beach and, do all of the things, like go surfing or snowboarding or whatever it is. You're going to spend the rest of your life with that person. And so, it's important for them to be able to keep up with you. Yeah.
No, I truly believe that the health is a big factor, because number one, you just mentioned the longevity. You want to be with somebody that that you're gonna be around, and I feel like especially I'm gonna put the spotlight on the Polynesian community. There's a lot of health. We go to a lot of health problems. It's because we as a community we don't put our physical health. We don't prioritize. We don't prioritize our physical health. No. And we don't. You just walk outside and see everybody how everybody looks. And no, but like I know people hate it when I say it, but for me it's not even about like what you look like. It's just like for me, if you how many times I've seen Polynesian husbands or wives pass away and they leave their kids behind because of health reasons. That's why I'm very passionate about that. It's because like exactly. If you're single, I'm not saying if you're single. I mean, what I'm saying is when you're responsible for other people and they rely on you, and then you don't take care of their health.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that's really, really important when you choose a partner, because you want to be with that person, and spend, have the energy to spend time with your kids and with the other person as well. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a really massive like unhealthy culture, around food.
Yeah.
This is like that talk alone could take like hours, because just with having food and wealth, like for Polynesian communities, like your food is your wealth, and so if you're well fed, then it looks good for you, but at the same time you're not healthy and you're not able to look after your children properly and give them the care that they need. So
yeah,
it's a hard one.
No, one of the biggest things I hear from a lot of women or men, they're like, because nobody wants to change. Nobody wants to change their diet. Nobody wants to change how they eat. They always say like, our ancestors were like this, and they, and they were good. I was like, when I looked at my ancestors' pictures, they were pretty slim. Like, like they weren't,
there was no McDonald's, there was
no KFC. I rarely, I'm telling you, I have very old pictures of my grandma, my great grandma, and great great grandma. They had Polynesian, the Polynesian body, but it wasn't obese.
Yeah, my dad always talked about that as well. Like him and his siblings, they came over, like they were all small, and then as soon as they hit
McDonald's,
McDonald's and Macca's, KFC, then it's
I know. I always hear that from our ancestors were like always like this, and they were finally like, no, I think you were misconstrued. And go look at the pictures. Go look at the pictures. Go look. You need to go back and look at the pictures. I'm pretty sure they weren't.
Pretty
obese.
Sure they didn't have McDonald's every single day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they actually worked outside and had some physical activity. But yeah, I feel like it is important. It's not I just have a lot of friends that passed away because of it, and left some kids behind. So I feel like it's really, really important for Polynesians, to make sure that your partner is fit, and if they're not fit, there's nothing wrong with not choosing a fit partner.
But I also think it's important, to because some relationships, they both get quite big together. I think it's also important to call each other out.
Yeah, hold each other responsible.
Hold each other responsible. If you know that your partner isn't in the best shape, then talk to them about it, and go on that journey together.
I remember I had I remember so when my grandma was still alive, she passed away this year, but I remember growing up, I was living in my auntie's house. My auntie was pretty big, right? And my grandma came to visit her. And my grandma, oh my God, my grandma was ruthless, like very direct, very blunt. And my grandma was like, "What the hell?" She was like, "What?" She started like just going off. Like, what the hell? I can't believe your husband is still like, just making, just telling her why, like. And she was like, the Western society culture. She was like, my husband loves me no matter what. And I remember this is my grandma. Like this is her. This is what she said. It's like, it's your responsibility as a woman to make sure you keep your man. And this is what she said that.
Wow.
And she said that like and it's crazy. I heard that. I was like, wow, I never heard that before. She's like it's your responsibility to get fit, to make sure that your man's attracted to you. And if you're overweight and he leaves, that is not his fault. And this is coming from a grandma. She's hardcore, very traditional. And she came from the old times. And it's so it's really crazy. And I know if somebody said that today, people will say, oh, that my grandma's very toxic, whatever. But I feel like it goes back to what you said. There needs to be some kind of accountability.
Yeah.
Right. If for not only a woman to make sure she's physically attracted to a man, but for a guy also, if he's not working, not getting a job, not being taking care of the finances, it's your job too to step up. But hey, you need to go get a job.
Yeah.
We got kids to feed. So I feel like it goes both ways, and I feel like it is your responsibility. Just because you got to get married, that's like you just mentioned before, like the comfortableness, right? Just because you get married and that's it, and we just all complacent now. Like I always like to use the analogy of a relationship is like a house. Like you have to build it.
Yeah.
You don't just have. Yeah, you don't just pour the cement and build the foundation. Oh, we're done.
Yeah, and that's what happens.
And then there's no house, and then we're just living outside. And we're too cold, and then somebody else sees another warm house. I'm gonna go over there.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be maintained, and it has to be nurtured and nourished all the time, constantly by both sides.
Yeah. So and that was really deep too. So it's just crazy how like that's my grandma, she had a very successful marriage, with her, and nowadays like divorce rates are over 50%. Women are getting married. Now women are getting divorced, initiating 80% of all the divorces here in America.
Wow.
And I feel like that needs to be more. That message needs to be taught out there. Like a man, like it is for men. It goes both ways. A man, it's our responsibility to make sure that we provide for our women. Like we talk about provision and protecting, but also for women, I feel like it is important to make sure that we are making sure that we are doing the things we need to do to be attractive to one another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. And it's like
that love going and to continue being attracted, but also to put in the effort for the other person as well. It's definitely important.
I know Marcy was hella mad. I was like, dude. I was like, damn. I was like, man. I was like, wow. That was deep. But it's funny. I've heard that before. I've heard that before from men. I've heard men like, nah, she's not putting the effort. Like they leave because like they're like, no, they're not putting an effort. Like
it always takes two.
So I'm seeing both sides, but yeah, I feel like it is. I feel like you said, we have to take responsibility for the relationship, and not just because you're in a relationship or you're married to that person or time that you feel like that you can be comfortable around another. And that's true. One of the biggest things I do hear from a lot of also is I want to ask you is like sex. As far as like sex or sexual attraction. So when you meet a guy, that's important to you. How important do you do is sex? For a lot of girls, it's like, do I wait? Should I how long? Do I wait before I have sex with them, or should I have sex with them? That's the conversation I hear. And for a lot of guys, the conversation is like, okay, if she's not giving me the sex, if she's waiting too long, I'm gonna go somewhere else. So I want to ask you, how do you see it?
So I was just laughing at my sister. She's like listening, and she just goes, "He has to have a big." And so I'm just laughing over here. Well, I feel like it still comes back to that whole physical attraction thing. Like if you're physically attracted to them, then you'll feel whether or not there's a sexual attraction there. And the time thing, it's once again, it's not about time. It's about connection and feeling the vibes with it. Like, I guess if you're like coming out of like abstinence or something, then you might be putting a time on it or something. But for me personally, I've just always gone with like how everything's flowing and how it feels.
Okay. So I know for a lot of women, they have I don't know if this is the same in Australia. I mean, I'm saying New Zealand, but I guess there's this thing here in America where women will say they will never have sex on the first date because they don't want to seem like this, like they're too easy. So is that the same thing for you? Or for you, if you meet somebody and you're just like, you feel the vibes, the sexual attraction is there, physical attraction is there, the first date?
Nah, definitely not on the first date.
even if
it's just like, just respectful as well. Not only for myself, but for the other person. Like, of course, it doesn't mean that you're not attracted to them, but it's also important to honor the space and to just make sure. Because for me, like, sex is a very vulnerable space. It's very, it's not just sex. And I know that a lot of people are just like, sex is just sex, but it's so much more than that. Like there's a huge connection when you're having those relationships and when you're having sex. So I don't, it's not really just something that you just go out and you do it because you
understand.
Yeah. So I'm definitely not a first date kind of have sex person. No.
even if you met the right person and you said all the right things, he's very respectful.
If I can get the right person, then they'll be respectful enough to honor, to honor
okay.
what I want as well.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, good. No, because I always talk to a lot I talk to girls, and they always say it's a lot of them have said that they do meet guys and they wouldn't mind having sex with them on the first night. For them, it's more of the they just don't want to be seen as like as I guess a hoe, because you know I guess that's why girls think that okay, if I give it up on the first day or the first night, then guys automatically assume that you know, I'm that type of woman. So even if they do feel those vibes, or they'll just won't. And but it's funny, you know.
Yeah, true.
That's what girls say, but it's funny for guys when I talk to them, like we don't even see it that way. We don't think, okay, if I well, there are some guys, but I've talked to a lot of guys, like, you know, if you have sex with somebody you really like on the first night, it doesn't come through our mind that, oh, if this girl is I guess like a whole because she gives up the first time. That doesn't even go through our mind at all.
And I guess that comes a lot from, you know, social media.
The media.
You know, all of these video clips, and it's just a lot of learned behavior that women are attaching to themselves. Yeah,
because you meet somebody.
You could really, really love that attraction and have it for them, but you're holding it back out of fear of that other person judging you. But then you also have to question, do you really like them if you're assuming that they're going to judge you for that?
Yeah.
So,
all right. Nice. Yeah. So I want to ask you, do you have any, are there any questions that you may have regarding like men or that you have personally for yourself, or you hear like you have a conversation with your friends, or maybe your sister has it?
Got any questions?
What are they? Do you have any questions regarding
men? You know, like it's really interesting actually. Like what is it? Like the creeps thing, obviously you can't answer. But me and the whole creepy guy thing, me and one of my girls were talking about that, you know, just the way to approach women. I think it's something that's not talked about enough. Because I feel like if you know how to approach a woman like in a kind and respectful manner, then you know. And for some people, they just don't know that they're doing it. Like,
yeah. So talk about when you say when you talk about social media or like in real life?
Especially on social media, like people are just so rude, I guess, and in person as well. Just very forthcoming, like with being in other people's space and touch, and you know, especially when it's unwanted or unwelcomed.
Oh yeah, I feel like you said, a lot of people they learn about how to date or how to approach women, how to approach men from social media. So a lot of times when people just send you those creepy or provocative type of messages on social media, it's usually they probably saw it somewhere and they thought it was acceptable, or they tried it out and it worked one time.
Yeah, maybe that. So they're gonna keep trying it over and over.
Yeah, so they have that belief. Oh, it works. You know, they were able to have some like that one successful try, and then that's became oh, this is how to do it. It's like I said, it's culture now. It's just, you know, back then our grandmas lived in a different culture. They would never do that. But because the culture has changed, and now we have a new way of the new normal of dating and how women and men approach each other. And sadly, and this is the sad part, is like I feel like today that, you know, where we are more disconnected as ever. I don't know if you saw this, but there was a study that was done that since the rise of social media, there has been a rise of like people. There has been a rise in mental health problems throughout the world. So I feel like that, and it was just crazy. I don't know which is crazy to me, but I feel like today, because of social media, because of comparison, people are more insecure as ever. People have lost their identity and knowing how to love themselves and treat themselves and know what's healthy and not healthy. And because of that, I feel like people are more susceptible of being treated toxic, you know, going into toxic relationships or being with people that are toxic, you know. And then because of that, when a lot of kids or people growing up today, they see how somebody treats a woman, and they see how somebody sends a message to another woman, how men talk to women, vice versa, both sides, and then in our minds that becomes a norm. So if I grow up and I see guys, hey man, I texted this girl this disrespectful message, and she accepted it, then that becomes my reality and what I think it's normal behavior.
Yeah.
So back then, like you say, our ancestors, the only way to get married, you had to go to the house and talk to the father. Yeah. There was no DM, there was no window we can jump on and jump in.
Yes.
Like, even those, but like the only way, and when you realize that's the only way to get a girl, okay, that's the norm. I have to go talk to the father. That's the same thing now is because of social media. There's so many different ways of things to talk to women and talk to men, and then one person sees one thing, and that becomes their. If it's creepy, that creepy way of flirting and approaching women, that becomes their norm, and nobody's there to tell them otherwise. So I feel like that's why people like you, spreading positivity, being online and talking about self-love. That's why that's needed more than ever today.
Yeah.
In this world where so many people are confused, So yeah, man, the creeps are real.
Leave us alone.
You never saw a creep that was like attractive, like he was like, oh, he's a creep, but like, dang, his profile looks good.
Oh, the vibe. Just can't.
Just can't. Okay. Do you have any other questions? Yeah, I'm sure you got. What are the questions? What are the questions you guys have?
Oh, it's just funny ones now. Like now that we're talking about relationships so much, like I'd love to know what guys are. It's easy to. I don't know. It's hard to ask questions because you can only say from your perspective. But what are your top 3 things that you look for, like in a woman or in a relationship? And then what would your red flags be?
So for me, physical sexual attraction, that's important for me. Like when I meet them, I want to make sure that's somebody I've been physically and sexually attracted to. Mm-hmm. Number 2, compatibility. All right. Make sure that we connect. We have the same values. We have the same values within ourselves, our same principles. Like we both believe in the same things. It's really hard to be with somebody that we just disagree on certain things like religion, God, faith, and morals. Those things. So that's it. I guess what's the best way to say this? I don't want to upset a lot of females out there. Being a follower, and the best way I can explain that is, for me, I'm a natural leader. So when I in a relationship, I like to lead. Not only I like to be the leader and provide, take care of her, and lead that relationship. So as long as I find somebody that, I'm not saying I'm not, of course I will allow her to speak and I'll listen to her, give me advice, give me her perspective, and we'll discuss it out. But I will like be for me, because I know how my nature is, like I like to lead and take care of my woman. Like I don't want her to ever worry about obstacles, struggles, bills, nothing. I'm gonna take that responsibility and I'll lead the ship. All right. All right. Just get on the ship and enjoy this ride. So like you say, females are females that want to be the leader, that want to wear the pants. That can be very difficult for me, because like I say, it's not even about choice. That's my nature now. Like I like to be the leader in not only my own life personally, but I like to be the leader in a relationship where I just take care of everything. And then those are 3 things. The top 3, of course, there's more, but
I really love all of those.
So so that's the 3 things. As long as I feel that when I do meet a girl, that's the first three things I look for. Okay, I'm a physically attractor, check. All right, compatibility. All right, we have the same morals and values, same things we believe in. All right, cool. And then I'm the leader. Yeah. She was like, I don't like to say, being too, she's just being. But I feel like she's a man. I'm like, all right. So only one of us can be a man. That's gonna be me. So we can't be both. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's me. Yeah. Yeah. What about for you? Did you ever mention that? What's your first three things that you look for when you
probably be the same. Yeah, mine would be exactly the same. Except for the leadership one though. Like I prefer for him to be like the more dominant.
The dominant one?
I'm like okay. I'm naturally submissive, but I also like to have my say and stand for what I like to speak on and like whatever's on my heart. But yeah, like you said, it's just that protected feeling is really important. But then the morals, the values, 100% important, and then physical and sexual attraction.
Yeah, one of the
my sister goes, "Is he single?"
Yes, I am. I am single. Hey, you gotta ask. If you don't ask, you never know. So, no, it's funny. Is I had a quick question. No, because I do hear. I want to ask you. I do hear a lot of women say, I do meet a lot of women who are very strong. Very strong, but then sometimes people might say they're like a man, almost.
The masculine energy is really
masculine energy, very strong.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is number one. Every successful marriage I've seen in my whole life was always when a man was a leader. I've never seen in my life where I saw there was people that died altogether, where the woman led the relationship. Of course, we live in an age now in modernism and feminism now that women are, and like you said, they want to be the leaders now. They want to be the one to lead the relationship, and I understand that because that's today. But for me, it's just like they can say that, but I've never seen that work. And I feel like there's certain things in life it's we were created to do, if that makes sense. So like there's a balance in everything. So I feel like I want to ask you, do you personally believe that a woman can lead a relationship and it will work out? Because me personally, I just believe that any relationship to work out, like we have to fit into the roles that God created us to do. God created the man to be the protective provider. It has nothing to do with I'm against this and this and this. I truly believe that everything in this world was designed by God with a plan, and He created the man to be the man, and the woman the woman. Of course, we all free to make our choices in life. Well, if a woman wants to be an entrepreneur, of course, I'm not against that. But I just feel like that the end relation to work, that the man has to be the leader and not the woman. But I know we live in a society today, and I do hear from a lot of women also, I have to be the leader. I have to be the leader. But they're all single.
I feel like it's so caught up on who's the leader, like it's such a massive thing. Like who's going to be the leader? Who's going to be in charge? Who's the boss? Who makes all the decisions?
I hear that from a lot of women today. They're like, I'm the boss. I need to be a leader. But they're all single. They're all single. And all my friends, I say,
some of the women that I know in my family who are very headstrong, and they are definitely like the leaders within their relationship. And there's a few in my family that I can think of where the women are the more dominant energies. They don't make the most money, but they don't make like the most money, but you can tell that they're in control, or like they're the ones that make the main choices within the relationship. So 100% can work, and I think it's just about compromise, like we said before, and sacrifice and making those energies work together between the masculine and feminine on both sides.
No, I don't. No, I understand where you're coming from because, like, a man can lead outside of the house and be the face and the job, but then we go home. Of course, the woman like, okay, you're the leader at home.
Yeah.
No, I.
You mean like in the big picture?
Yeah, but over in the big picture, like the man has to be the leader. What I'm talking about is a woman that want to be leader of the house, but also be the leader in public.
Yeah.
So they want to be dominant, everything, like, so
that's a very big poly thing, eh?
Yes, I've met women like that.
Yeah.
And they, and of course, like and I always tell them, look, it's like, I don't know how I be like, for you to find a man that's willing to willing to, I guess, be the masculine, he be the feminine. It's really, you can't expect the man to do that because for me, I feel like he's fighting against his nature. We're men, we're made to protect and provide, and be the man. And for a lot of women, that's very headstrong. And I also understand that for most women who are very headstrong, they also there's a reason. It comes from a place where something happened in their life where they had to be headstrong. So I'm also very sensitive about that, but I feel like there's things in life
I was definitely scared of too, like coming into this space and being perceived as someone that's quite headstrong and very independent. It does kind of build this fear where you feel like maybe no one will want to like be in a relationship with you out of assuming that you're like way too headstrong for them. So I can definitely feel where those women are coming from.
Usually the women who are very headstrong comes from a place, there's something that happened that caused them to put their walls up and be very defensive. But that's one of the things I just when I talk to very headstrong women, masculine women, and I was telling them, like, for you to find a man that's willing to be, for you to be dominant in that way, but we been no compromise. That's I've never seen it happen. I've never seen it happen.
Story though, right? Because like women who have a lot of masculine energy, they're obviously covering up
something,
some trauma, something, and that's the reason why that they're at that. And because women are naturally, feminine energy, very in flow, very submissive, intuitive, and just able to go with the flow with everything. So to all of those beautiful women, it's also important to unpack and do healing around whatever it is that's bringing up those feelings of needing to feel like you're always in control and having those dominant energies, because it does, you can still be a leader but be supported and be empowered by your man. That you can still be both, but I feel like a lot of women feel like you can only be one or the other, but we're both. We can definitely be both and flow in and out of masculine and feminine energies, and when you're able to tap into those feminine energies, it feels really beautiful to be held by a man. So that'll be another beautiful conversation to have.
I love what you said. I love what you said. We all have both masculine and feminine energy. And I feel like that's just my view on that. I just feel like because of society and all the views, you can't go against nature. You can't go against what God created us to do, and you can't change that and expect it to work out. Like, I feel like God created us in a certain way, and it's only going to work in the way He created, in His plan, in His way. We can't go against the Creator. We can't go against you can't go against what He created us to do. All right. But I guess I think we've come to the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for
red flags.
Huh?
You didn't tell us your red flags.
Oh, my red flags. Oh, everything that's opposite. Opposite of what I mentioned. So, in order for me to be a leader, she has to be able to follow. So if I meet a woman that's not willing to follow and just going against everything I say, that's one. And then I guess of course, not taking their health. For me, like, I want to make sure I have a wife that will be with me my whole life. I want to set a good example to my kids, health and sexual attractiveness. And then what's the second one was the compatibility. Yeah, like if her values and morals and things is totally opposite of mine, then that's a battle. So so as soon as I talk to him, you can, and of course you can see these things on the first date. Oh, and also one thing I would suggest to everybody out there that's watching this, when you go on a first date, ask the right questions. People don't do that. Like, ask questions, and I've realized this. Like, the first day you have to ask questions. So people, if you don't get the information you want, or you don't, because you didn't ask the right questions, and that's your chance.
What questions would you suggest?
I ask them, what do you like to do? What do you believe in? Like, questions like that.
Yeah. Those are all the questions that I ask as well.
Yeah, what are you into?
When you meet people in general.
Yeah, what's your job? What do you believe in? And I think it's easier for me because women, you guys like to talk about yourself. So I just ask one question, and you guys end up just telling your whole life story. So I usually just ask one question. I get everything I need from that one question. I think it'd be harder for you because most guys won't like to open up and talk about. So but yeah, that's something I would suggest everybody that's watching this. You have to ask the questions. Ask the right questions for them, and don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that's the thing. We're afraid that if we, you want to know, communicate and ask the right questions. And and I always say this: if the connection is if the connection is if you have a very great connection, and the attraction is real, then even when you ask questions, because that's the fear of what most people have. If I ask questions, I'm afraid that I might ask the wrong question, and then they might not like me no more.
To the right person.
Exactly. There's no wrong question to the right person. If the attraction is real, and they're very interested in you, and they really they want to be with you. Yeah. Right. There's nothing you would say outside of like saying some terrible things. But if you just talk about your curiosity of you want to know more about them, they won't care. Honestly, they won't care. Like, if I really like you, I don't care what you ask. All right. And I guess the only question I won't ask you is like, where do you want to eat? That's the only question I'll throw out the door. Food,
put it on the table.
I'm just gonna put the food on the table, and I'll figure out from trial and error what do you like, what you don't like. But besides that, anything you want to leave for everybody that's watching? Any advice you want to give them? Tips?
I'm just so grateful for this conversation. Like, it's been so huge, and I definitely love to like jump back on and unpack some other things, but definitely like the whole relationship thing.
We can do that.
The compromising and making sacrifices, like, is so important, and not being complacent, always being willing to grow and to try new things when you're in a relationship, because it is easy to feel so complacent and just do the things normally. But something that I always reflected on, like, what was it like at the beginning of your relationship, and what were all the things that you were doing that excited you about the other person, and go back and do those things that made everything exciting. And the other one was comparison. Like, comparison is the quickest way to like kill any vibe, whether it's comparison of yourself, comparison of other relationships. Like, it's just so important to stay in your own lane and do what you're doing and do your relationship and build that connection, communicate, and just be willing to open up and share with the other person as much as you would love for them to share with you. But I'm just so thankful, like, such beautiful conversations. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah, no problem. I love what you said. I think I heard somebody say, if you treat every relationship like the beginning of the relationship, there will be no end of the relationship. Okay, so thank you so much. So the one thing I just want to say, thank you so much for sharing your life story and opening yourself up to everybody. I really appreciate that. It takes a lot of strength to speak your truth and speak your story today. And for everybody that's listening, one thing I do ask every guest on the show to leave some final thoughts and words of wisdom. So to close our podcast today, can you just share some final thoughts, and then we'll just end it with that.
Sweet. I'll just end it with my favorite quote of all, which is, be the change you wish to see in the world. And that's something that I stand by every single day. Like if you know that there's something that you're wanting to do, you know that there's something that upsets you that you know needs changing, just be that person that creates the change. Be the person that instigates the movement that needs to happen, so that you can, start that ripple effect and create the world and the life that you want to create.